Today we're helping celebrate the 50th year anniversary of Jaws.
There's like blood everywhere, blood, guts, and ass. You kind of think you see the shark, but you're not really sure what you just saw.
They do have two children.
Yes.
They bought him like a dinghy, like a little,
and
like
Chris Farley was like,
"Quit playing with your dinghy."
It's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes.
just stands there and screams in panic, and the camera like zooms in on her face, but she's making no attempt to run or anything.
Dude,
and then all of a sudden, Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.
I'm still 100% sure that my parents wanted us dead.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes.
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
This doesn't seem fair. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for. Today we're helping celebrate the 50th year anniversary of Jaws. Got Jaws Master Gibbs on here, his new rap name.
We're not going to tell you how he got it.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you how, But anyway, so guys, this movie, 50 years old, obviously falls a little bit before we were born. But let's just kick it off with the impact this thing had. Even I remember, we're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so you would always go to the Redneck Riviera, Panama City, and any town in Florida. Like even in the mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s, Jaws shit everywhere. Like shark stuff everywhere. Great whites were put on the fucking radar by this movie, man. So let's start off.
Real quick, you're talking about Panama City. When I was a kid, we went there, and someone had caught an 8-foot tiger shark. And that part of Jaws is real, man. It talks about like how they'll eat anything.
Yeah.
Because like this dude had it in the back of his truck, and
was it still alive?
No, they had like sliced his belly open. And do you remember the old metal gas cans are like they're red with like yellow writing on it?
Yeah,
there was one of those in there.
Wow.
What?
Also, I looked and I could not ever find this picture. But my dad, like the guy had walked off, the guy that caught the shark. Yeah. So my dad was standing over there, and he was holding its mouth open and letting people take pictures of him like he caught it.
That's awesome. Man, I was terrified of this movie. Completely terrified as a child. I probably didn't watch this movie full on uncensored till I was in my 20s or 30s, probably mid 20s, late 20s. This was on TV all the time, so I'd always pick up parts of it. But as soon as that fucking music hit on, Chris was turning the channels back to Nickelodeon and watching some goddamn cartoons. So, Leaf, where do you first remember seeing this?
Dude, this is one that was always on television, like you said. I've seen it multiple times. It's always on. People were always watching it, but I have never sat down and watched the entire thing from start to finish. And for me, it wasn't the fact that like I was really scared of it, because I really don't have like any phobias of stuff, really. I mean, obviously it was terrifying,
right?
And I was intrigued by it, but I've probably seen the whole movie in chunks, bits and pieces.
I think
all
that's
the
really
time.
How I was until I finally saw it, man.
Yeah.
Chunks of Chrissy.
Yeah. Yeah. Shadwick, what about you, man?
I watched it for the first time last week.
That's awesome.
When I was a kid, there were two movies that terrified my mom. There was Jaws and Helter Skelter.
Okay.
And she just didn't want me to watch this one. So last week I called her. I'm like, Mom, is it okay if I watch Jaws?
And she was like, Shaddy, no.
She's like, Shaddy, no.
She's like, you're not going to the beach, are you? It's going to ruin you.
Yeah, that'll be it, man. Gibbs, what about you? You actually, we were talking off air. You've read the book, right?
Yeah. I read the book. I grew up in Florida. I was born in Panama City, and first time I saw this, I was 5 years old, living in Jensen.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
Yeah, living in Jensen Beach, Florida. Right near the beach, boy.
You were like the little kid making faces at the table.
Yeah, I was that fucking kid. Sorry, cut that out. I was that kid at the table. So I watched this, and there was really only one part that my mom would not let me watch, and it was when Quint gets eaten at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
like the blood coming out of his mouth and shit like that. I didn't see that until I was probably a teenager. But oddly enough, the movie scared the shit out of me, but didn't stop me from going to the beach and swimming all the fucking time. Like, it wasn't one of those that I was like, oh, I'm never getting back in the water. I was like, man, that was fucking terrifying. Let's see if it happens to me.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid to get in the water, but again, I didn't want to watch it because I knew it would make me afraid to get in the water. Yeah. It would have led me over at an earlier age to
fucking bum.
How much earlier could you have started? Did you say you and your dad used to drink when you were 9?
No. What?
Oh, he left when you were 9?
Yeah, that's when he's on his way back. He's just gonna go get some milk.
Any day now.
Dude. One of my homeboys, we talked about him last week on the Batman. Our homeboy Ronnie just randomly brought me some Voltron beer. This one is a hazy IPA. It is Four Hands Brewing. But yeah, man, so this shout out Ronnie. Thanks for dropping that off. It's a delicious beer with some cool ass artwork on it. Take me back to the Voltron days, which we will cover soon. Leaf, what do you got, man?
Man, I'm drinking a little bit of a Voodoo Ranger.
Nice.
Bro. And in honor of Jaws, I'm drinking my big Renaissance pirate mug, man. It's going to be delicious. Quint would be proud.
He would, man. What about you, Shadwick?
What I'm drinking does not come in a can or a labeled bottle. It comes out of a mason jar.
Oh.
I made it myself.
Oh, my God.
Shadwick's going to be burning, and it's going to be fun. Gibbs, what are you doing, man? Are you keeping pace with before?
Yeah, I'm doing. I've got another dragon fruit cannabliss.
Ooh,
25 milligrams.
Well, we'll let you know. Don't worry, I'll edit it out you wander off later on again.
If I start staring at the wall, just let me know.
Gibbs licked the camera for like 5 minutes last time he was drinking that. And we're like, Gibbs, what are you doing?
And Gibbs has wandered off the set again.
Yeah.
In my defense, I didn't have dinner that night, so
yeah, I just see Gibbs show up behind me. I'm like, how'd you get to my house? But before we get started,
we found one of those portals I always see.
I guess, man. Before we get started, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Like I said, tell them about us. Let's grow the brand, and shout out to our Rewinder of the Month, good old Nate the Great. Thanks again for all the support. And he was ready to go to bat for us on the against the Snyderverse, and I was like, well, it's dead. So let's go ahead and get over in our topic, Jaws. Leaf, go ahead and kick us off with some boring ass facts.
So, for the uninitiated, dude, 1975, all of y'all should have seen this one by now. Jaws is a 1975 American thriller film directed by Steven Spielberg, dude.
Which surprised the shit out of me, actually.
Really? Yeah.
Well, because I'd never seen it until last week. I always thought of it, as like a horror movie. And to me, Steven Spielberg kind of fell more into like the realm of family-friendly films,
Right.
That's kind of what, when I'm with you. Because, I knew he did it, but it just, watching the documentaries and doing the research and shit on it, I was like, whoa.
Well, thank God he did, because of all the problems they had in production.
That's probably why he went to family-friendly. He's like, this is way easier.
It was based in, Gibbs can give more background on this, but it was based on a 1974 novel by Peter Benchley.
The movie was actually optioned before it was released, before the book was released, and somebody got their hands on it. One of the producers got their hands on it and was like, "Holy shit, we got to get this thing!" So it kind of like Jurassic Park was, like they bought it before it even got released to the public.
Yeah, I think that too. And when it started to hit too, that's why there was this small window on making this movie, is because they were really trying to capitalize on the buzz of the book to, piggyback and get this movie out. And it was, as we'll go into some detail, it was less than easy to make this movie. They made some not so great decisions on where to film and how to film. And
I gotta know, dude. Is the book better than the film, dude?
No.
Does it hold true?
No.
it's
So
not.
the book, every character you hate and you kind of want them to be eaten. So like there's not a likable character. Hooper is a piece of shit in the book, and whenever he does get eaten in the book, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, had that coming.
Yeah, like
You never rub another man's rhubarb.
Ellen Brody's like a piece of shit. The mayor is connected to the mob. Like, and there's a whole lot of like subplots that don't even get touched in the thing. And it's just, it's
just not
other than the
redeemable
last
characters.
like 100 pages, like it's really just kind of not that great.
Right.
It's, I guess, like, you make some creative liberties with what you're doing. And speaking of creative liberties, it leads me over to shit stuck in my head this week.
You know the thing about a rat? It's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eye. Don't seem to be living at all when it come at you. Till it bites you.
Are you doing a speech from Jaws?
Nah,
Are you doing Jaws? We don't have time for this shit.
Doing Jaws.
Always sunny for the win.
God damn it. I was waiting for the end when you say, what's your favorite quote? And I had been practicing that for 3 days.
Oh, don't worry. It'll be said throughout. It's going to be fine. That was all going to be, whatever. But
the last fact that I have is the budget was $9 million on Jaws, ladies and gentlemen, and it pulled in a paltry box office sum total of $476.5 million.
God.
Actually, the original budget was $3 million, and they just kind of went over. Like they tripled the budget. It took like 2 or 3 times as long to fucking film the thing.
Wasn't this Universal?
Oh, God.
And
Yeah, it was a
Universal,
Universal
like their whole like
Where
mantra
Jaws
was
pops out of
like,
the water?
That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard.
Jaws has just been intertwined through all of our movies throughout life.
So I went, I lived in Orlando for fucking several years whenever I was a kid, and went to Universal Studios all the fucking time. And there was only 2 times whenever the Jaws ride was open whenever I was there. It was always fucking closed.
It's like McDonald's ice cream machines.
Just like the movie, just like the movie, they were always having fucking trouble with the shark. And so like I got to ride the thing twice in my life.
Hey, at least
even
you
though I
got
was
to
there
see
for
it though, man. I never got to see it. Like it
Now,
was gone by the time I was there.
on the right before the ride, they show like this little video of like the people in Amity and the people in the movie, and they have Quint talking about like they're like, didn't you get eaten? And he's like, yeah, well, they threw me up, and they show him in reverse coming out of the shark's mouth.
They just play backwards. That's funny as shit.
Was it Phil Hartman playing him?
Oh, no.
It should have been.
Like every time I saw Quinn
Captain Carl or
Women, dames,
or whatever. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that impression was intermingled with some Captain Carl for sure. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get my shades.
So the reason, or part of the reason, it took so long to film was Steven Spielberg opted to actually film it in the ocean instead of
in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, and instead of doing it like in a pool with a blue background. So you've got in the lens those wide angles go like 20 miles wide on the horizon.
Dude.
So you might have a sailboat that's going.
I know. That's some shit. Like I was watching, doing research. And I came across the same thing. That's some shit you never think about, right? You're not you're like, okay, we'll get this wide shot of the ocean, not thinking like, hey, civilization exists. Like people are sailing, and this is in Martha's Vineyard too, I think is where they film part of it. So it's like not exactly like a dead spot of an area where nobody's there, right? So like, I mean, you can mark off the beach, but you can't exactly like mark off fucking 100 miles of the ocean for your fucking establishing shots.
You can't close the beaches even if there's a vicious shark attack.
That's true.
Evidently not.
Dude, the town needs money, god damn it. So, it's kind of like in Demolition Man.
How can you justify destroying a $7 million mini mall to rescue a girl whose ransom was only $25,000?
Fuck you, lady.
Now, I will say that the reason, like, in hindsight, it probably was a bad idea to film in the ocean, but the movie is better because of it.
Well, I mean, again, look at the end product, right?
In so many different ways, it's a better product.
Yeah.
Like, It looks amazing. Like every scene looks beautiful. It's shot beautifully. It feels real. Every bit of it feels real. Even the fake parts. And then like, you know, originally he was going to show the shark right off the bat.
I know
when Chrissy gets killed. They were going to show him. They were going to show him so much. There's some like deleted scenes that showed him a hell of a lot more that they kind of just got rid of because it didn't look great or there was just so many issues. And because the fucking shark fucked up, we ended up with a better movie.
Yep, that's what I was about to say, man. Like, they named it Bruce, the shark, named after Spielberg's lawyer for whatever reason,
and not after the shark in Finding Nemo.
Hello, my name is Bruce.
Yeah, I think that's probably a nod.
They went to the future and then they named.
Like, you guys ever seen Finding Nemo?
He's like, can I get that car from Back to the Future in 10 years?
Spielberg is like, it's real.
Yeah. Man, like what I really liked when I found that out, like the whole like, okay, so the shark's not here, we got to get creative and basically let the audience imagination do the work for you. Yeah. I love that type of problem solving. Like having something happen, like even in the editing room or something, where something is presented, like how the fuck am I going to make this work, or how are we going to make that? And your brain has to start thinking outside the box.
That's why they made props into characters basically.
Yeah.
So like you've got the barrels, you've got Chrissy, you've got
the fucking
pier.
island. The people locals that lived there are in this movie. They're characters in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, most of these people that are in this movie lived.
Yeah,
Martha's
apparently
Vineyard.
Hooper was slaying some poon, by the way, is what they also said in that documentary.
Wasn't the little boy's mom, the boy that got killed?
Yeah, the Kintner kid, Alex Kintner.
The mom, she was a local, right? Like she was not even an actress.
Yeah, both of them were locals. Both the kid and her. Both the Brody kids were locals that lived. Like so, Sean and Michael were locals that lived there. Ben Gardner,
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michael. Like pretty much everybody that you see there that isn't Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Lorraine Gary, Richard Dreyfuss. Everybody else is pretty much from that fucking island, So it feels real. It feels authentic because it is fucking real,
Yeah. Before we jump like completely into this, side note, like because I always know actors from weird shit instead of like their blockbuster whatevers. First time I see Richard Dreyfuss, he's a fucking baby in this, and it's weird to go back and watch him to be so young. And
he's always been a grown adult.
I'm just thinking about fucking What About Bob the whole time. Yeah.
Baby steps? It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself, one day at a time.
Like that's the first movie I saw.
Baby steps, buddy.
Baby steps is what I just kept saying. I was like, he needs to tell him about baby steps. Why isn't he saying baby steps?
This movie's so good. Opening scene. I mean, it's already iconic. Like, I was grinning from ear to ear when I started watching this.
Same.
Because right when it starts, it's like you got the black screen, credits roll. Bam, like Jaws title screen. And immediately I was like, damn, I miss this pacing, dude. Like 70s and 80s movies are just
side note, I guess this was pretty, I don't know if this was the first time it was used. They had like a little black box that went in the water. This was not a waterproof camera, so it was like a regular ass camera, with a box with like that, had a window on it, and so they could take the camera down below the area and have it
so
come
you
up
could be at water level.
Correct.
Oh,
and so if that thing goes too low, then you just ruined the fucking camera.
Thousands.
The cameraman too, when they were on the Orca, like it was all handheld. Usually they would use like a gimbal, so they would keep it steady, but Spielberg, he wanted the motion, so the guy was actually like hand holding the camera with all the rocking back and forth.
I did not even notice that.
He's trying to keep it steady,
right?
But I mean, it just gives you that movement.
Dude, wasn't Spielberg like 27 when he's doing this shit?
Yeah, he was.
Hate to tell you what I was doing when I was 20.
Same thing I was doing when I was 14. Probably.
Before this, he had made a TV movie called Duel, which is actually really good and has a lot of similarities to Jaws. And right after that, he made his first theatrical film. Right before this, I should say, is Sugarland Express.
Goldie Hawn, right?
He wasn't a name. He thought while the production was going, he thought his career was over.
Yeah, I know. That's like what's crazy to me is like you look at this. This is, arguably like one of the best films, like as far as like, the filming aspect of it, the shots, how it's put together, like one of the best films of all time.
Just think, if this movie did not make money, we would not have Minority Report.
Yeah, take me out of this reality, man. So, this Leaf, this is you have a note in here too, because it's, after your iconic thing, you have the party on the beach, right?
Immediately cuts to the night party. Yeah,
I have never done a bonfire party on the beach. Gibbs, you live in Florida. Did you ever have any of those?
No.
Chadwick?
Bonfire party on the beach. Chadwick, go, please.
Not on the beach. Nope.
None of us have had a bonfire party.
Me and you have hung out on the beach at night. I've peed in the ocean next to you in the middle of the night.
we did.
But there was no damn bonfire.
There's no bonfire.
I have been in the ocean at night before.
Oh, yeah. So have me and Gibbs. Me and Gibbs got one of those little skim boards.
We pulled our weenuses out.
With the skim boards things where it's
Let
like
us
you
generally
go,
touch our tips.
like Gibbs busted his ass on those, I busted my ass on it, and then we peed together because we were drunk as shit in the ocean.
And then didn't think we're peeing out towards the ocean.
Yeah, so our
not
pee was
thinking that the
washing
water was just splashing.
I don't hear any pee.
Dude, it was,
beautiful body, man.
So, I've never had a
dick.
Yeah,
Dude,
never had
man.
a bonfire beach party. So
Well, these kids,
sad.
evidently it's something for the beach kids did, except for Gibbs never invited.
Well,
evidently to one.
So I didn't get to see this when I was a kid, but I did see The Lost Boys.
Next time we do a writer's retreat, we'll just go to Florida and we'll do a bonfire at the beach, and then we'll all be dead.
Well, it's better than, it's better than going on with this hellish thing we call life.
I'll be at the Seminole Casino, guys.
But the kids are all partying on the beach, doing a little smoking, a little drinking.
And you knew you were in for a good time. A little smoking, a little drinking.
And there's a big party, and two kids decide to slink off and skinny dip. Now, we have done this next part. Chrissy, of course, and an unidentified young man, strip nude, and she dives into the ocean for a late night swim while he passes out drunk on the ocean.
Yes, we have done that second part.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Yeah, on the sand. And this has actually made me laugh so hard because, again, I've never watched this movie in full detail, analyzing every scene before. But he's literally so hammered, he's talking to himself. And I was just I could feel the bile in my throat start to come up from having been there multiple times.
I can't be a pilot. I can't be a doctor.
We find out later the young, beautiful blonde is named Chrissy.
Yeah,
and
she identifies herself as that. We don't know who he is.
Yeah, but she goes out into the water. He's stumbling and pretty well passes out. Can't get his clothes off, and she's looking back for him. And then all of a sudden she gets a little bump. It's just a little bump.
This is one of several nighttime scenes that were actually filmed during the day.
They just use a filter?
Yeah, they just used a filter and post credits editing techniques. It just kind of made it easier for them.
I didn't think about that, but I did notice there was a fair amount of reflection on top of the water. Yeah. So that makes sense.
It looks really good, but I did find out. So this lady that plays Chrissy was I guess she was kind of an animal handler or something too. So they cast her because
snakes.
Well, no, but tigers and shit. So she was I can do my own stunts. So it's if you cast me for this role, I can go do all the shit, and you don't have to hire somebody to go dive in the water because I'm an experienced diver too. And they were like, "Oh, you got a beautiful body, man. So we'll do it." Yeah. And then so I guess they had cords and ropes tied to her.
There was a harness that looked like shorts that were on her. And
so that's how she was able to thrash back and forth or whatever. And then Spielberg was the one that actually did the pull underwater to get her when she goes underwater. But again,
you know what? She reprised this role, did a kind of a cameo in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Did she?
Really?
What?
No, snowflake.
Let's go look it up.
I love this that it's just the whole your imagination does the work for the film. Yeah. And you're left to be Jesus Christ, what just happened?
Well, and he gives you a little break too. She makes it over to the buoy, and you think, okay, she's all right, and then it pulls her again.
Yeah.
and then like she's just gone, and the water's calm.
Yep.
And that to me is kind of creepy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get that bit of levity because it pans back over to the kid, and he's just completely passed out now.
Nobody knows
And
what
he
happened.
wakes up the next morning. He's like, "Did I score?"
Yeah. He's like, he calls his friend. He's like, "Hey, Beavis, I think I scored."
Dude, I love it. Like, and I agree with what you said, Chris. I think that this sets the tone for the entire movie. And I feel like I'm sure people probably have stories. If you have any, leave them in the comment section. But if you've ever been out like in dark water, maybe not even like in the ocean, and like something like bumps against your like leg or foot, like how
dude,
terrifying
fuck.
that has to be. Like to
Especially
you.
after this. Yeah. Like,
Especially
I mean,
after this,
shit.
dude. Yeah, it's just like you said, your imagination does all the work for you. And as Gibbs mentioned earlier as well, the fact that we don't see the shark, it just sort of makes it like it's like a monster movie film at this point in time.
And
like,
it's necessity being the mother of invention for this,
Dude,
right?
Like a damn monster movie.
They couldn't have the shark in there. Like if you put the shark in here early on, you're like, you know, like but yeah. So anyway, awesome
Right.
scene. Good job, 27-year-old Steven Spielberg. Chris was depressed at his minimum wage job, like Russian roulette every morning before
Meanwhile,
he went to work.
Spielberg was pulling naked chicks down with ropes.
The rope.
Like on.
And I'm like spinning it, and I'm just like clicking. I'm like, another day.
So the next morning, we meet the main cast of Police Chief Martin Brody, played by the infamous Roy Scheider, excuse me, a city slicker from New York City, and his wife Lorraine Gary.
Get a rope.
Dude, I love
God,
fucking Lorraine Gary in this.
Yeah.
God damn. That is
She's
the
best
dream.
known as Ellen Brody in Jaws: The Revenge.
They wake up the next morning together. You basically find out there's some hints there that they left their life in New York to come to this island town, you know, and they're trying to like sort of fit in. You know, Police Chief Brody is having some struggles, obviously, of fitting in and not being, you know, not being obviously an out of towner. Yeah. And there's conversations that kind of play into that, like throughout the film, about how he's trying to fit in, their family's trying to fit in, and people are just like, even the townsfolk are like, well, if you're not born an islander, you know, you're not an islander, dude. So I mean, like, they're very protective of their culture. It's like
that's another thing too with Spielberg. He's really good at exposition. Like he kind of like lays everything out and explains everything pretty quick. Like, doesn't Brody even say something like, "I'm the sheriff," like chief?
Yeah, the police chief.
Yeah. I mean, they do a really good job of explaining everything with it sounding natural. Like the whole first like 10 minutes of this movie after the shark attack, the dialogue is so naturalistic. There's people talking over each other. There's shit going on. Like you can't understand all the conversations, but you start catching glimpses of what life is like on Amity.
But it's never.
When did movies start getting to that like more natural dialogue?
I want to say like late 60s,
like
because
you go back to look at like the Maltese Falcon, and it's just ridiculous. Like
any Humphrey Bogart.
Listen here, name.
Yeah, you know, I mean, even Gregory.
Get on your knees, see?
You know, like Gregory Peck and To Kill a Mockingbird. That's a great movie, but some of like the dialogue and delivery, it's like stage acting instead of film acting, and I think like it was kind of like the Coppolas coming through and shit like that. Whenever naturalistic.
Is there any background at all to the name Amity? Is this any nod to the is Amityville?
Amityville Horror came out after this. So this and no, but there was a conspiracy theory because then one scene when they're at the harbor and all the people are going crazy and shit like that. In the background, you see a house that's very close to appearance, but Amityville is in New York.
Yeah, but
it's not on the beach.
Yeah, but also, what about the goddamn time machine from Back to the Future?
Exactly. Spielberg had it in his basement.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did get the name Bruce from Finding Nemo. I forgot.
Hello, my name is Bruce.
Exactly,
so
dude.
we're just here to connect dots. That's all we're doing on this show.
We're forcing them. So the police chief gets a phone call while he's sort of hanging out with we're introduced to his family, you know, as Gibbs said, through random conversations between them all. And he finds out that a girl has gone missing, of course. He drives to the beach where that's when we find out we're in the seaside town of on Amity Island. And he drives down there, and his Deputy Hendricks, played by Jeffrey Kramer. discover the remains of Chrissy's.
And I love this too, because
body.
this is the let your imagination do the fucking work, right? Like, he sees it and he turns around and he's about to fucking varmint. Like, he's like,
I know. When it showed that, like, because you just get that little glimpse of her body or face or whatever it was.
Her arm.
It made me think of in Seven where they find the gluttony guy. And,
oh, God. Fucking vomit.
See, I think I'm gonna start I'm gonna start hanging out or start having a handkerchief around me, so when I see something really bad, I can just turn around and go.
Like originally they used like a fake arm, but like Steven Spielberg didn't think it looked real, so they buried a crew member and just had her stick her hand out of the
Yeah, filmmaking was a little bit of the wild fucking west back then, guys.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
Well, let that be a lesson to you. Don't be a whistleblower.
So they do a initial autopsy on her, and the coroner initially decides or rules the death a shark attack. And of course, immediately shocked, the police chief Brody orders the beach closed, but they don't. It's such a hick town; they don't even have any signs, so he has to go. He's got to go to the arts and crafts store to make a beach closed.
You know what? You know what I thought was cool though. He doesn't. You don't hear the word shark attack. Like you see him filling out the paperwork, and you see him actually type on that old typewriter shark attack. You see the keys hitting. You know?
And what's great is there's no ceremony behind it. There's no like noise, like music swelling and being like ha ha ha. No, they just say shark attack, and it's very kind of mundane.
It is mundane. It's great. I know.
And I love that scene when he's going around, you know, talking to his deputy and talking to everybody and getting supplies and shit like that. And he can't get anything finished because he's so fucking busy. But you see so much of the town, what's going on, them preparing for the 4th of July. I'm getting going. And again, it's one of those scenes where there's so much dialogue going on between so many characters. You're like, what the fuck's going on? But it's a slice of life that you just feel like this is fucking real.
Gibbs brings up a fantastic point, and I really love this scene because this is the point, like as he said, that when the sheriff's running around trying to get this beach closed to try to protect the citizens and do his job, obviously, you know, we learn he's a decent, honest man at this point in time, and you do meet a lot of the townsfolk, and I love it. And it starts off with this like secretary who just comes in with some bullshit, and she's rambling. You could tell he's like trying to get out of the office. But if you've ever had verbal handcuffs slapped on you by one of those people that just want to talk, and the town is full of them, he can't go anywhere without.
Well, shit, man, he gets all the supplies, and then the deputy pulls up, and he's like, "There's a bunch of kids out there swimming, you know, and they have no way to contact him." He's like, "God fucking damn it, are you fucking serious?"
He's like, "I can't get a break. I have to like try to make my own."
Spielberg's like, "Hold on." He's like, "We only get like 4 GFDs per movie, so we got to use the god fucking damn it sparingly."
Hey, what was this rated? This was PG, right?
PG, right?
So, there was no PG-13 at this point,
right?
No,
right.
It was either PG or
came
R.
in the late '80s.
So they had to. What did they had to cut back on some of the gore, I think, to keep it from the R.
A lot of the gore had to come out, but I think that a lot of the gore that was taken out voluntarily. Like I don't think that the MPAA was really all that strict on it.
I think the less gore, because it builds the crescendo, right? Like we'll get to the, you know, where you have your kind of really gory shark scene, like towards the very end of the movie. I feel like with there not being as much gore, like that meant a lot more to me than if you're just desensitized by it throughout the entire fucking movie.
Did you know, I don't think it was Spielberg, but maybe the studio, someone in production asked at first, like, well, can we train some of these great whites so we can have the actors in the... No.
Does Juilliard have any great whites we can fucking sign up for? No? Okay.
Where's the shark union? Can we talk to the head of the shark union?
Like, let me get my lawyer, Bruce.
Hello, my name is Bruce.
All makes sense, man.
He's a real shark.
He is, man. So we get, I guess this is when you start getting, he's rushing down to the beach because he's like, dude, we got to fucking close the beach.
Close, man.
He's got his dogma protest signs.
He does, man. Him and Kevin Smith in tow. And shout out to our dogma episode. Go watch it. So one of the few YouTube didn't bury. See what happens when you don't bury it? What? Fuckers.
And
Anyway.
so long to this episode. Adieu.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
He quickly makes his way to the beach, finding out that his deputy, like, has as his deputy notified him, there's already like a Boy Scout troop, like having their swim meet. Like, like, and he knows that, or he is very suspicious that there is a shark, a killer potential shark on the loose, maybe. But I mean, just to be safe than sorry, he comes to shut the beach down, and he arrives at the beach only to be very quickly at the ferry met by the mayor.
Mayor! Now that's a good idea.
I like the sound of that.
Why are we all doing that?
The Mayor Larry Vaughn, played by Murray Hamilton, is of course this shystery ass mayor, more concerned about the town's 4th of July tourist revenue than a potential killer shark being on the loose, and he's already pressured the coroner to change the cause of death to boating accident, right? And we kind of get this scene where he's just like, well, and he makes, in my opinion, he makes like a pretty persuasive argument, because he's kind of like, listen, shark attacks are rare. Like, this is like, the town depends. Livelihood depends.
He's like, my
on this.
cousin Uncle Donnie was here not more than 3 weeks ago, so he could be back again.
But also,
reverse action.
If you're gonna lie about a cause of death, you come up with something cool, like he was killed by a wiener dog or something, like something that's just like, holy shit, man.
And they're like, guys, I've never seen this before, but this was a goldfish attack.
Yeah.
Right?
And Chrissy was killed by a fucking wiener dog.
So for the first time in human
She was going to get
history-
stabbed by a wiener.
So
It's a vicious stabbing attack.
Dude, side note, do you think like Chrissy
From the
was
front,
just
from the back? This kid don't care.
She was luring that kid out there just to fucking, he's too drunk, so he would just drown. Was she about to kill that
I
kid?
think she may have been a serial killer. I think God rectified a problem in the Matrix right there.
So she sees him like, it's coming right for us.
Yep.
My God, it's coming right for us.
Like the mayor has you could tell he's gotten to the coroner. He's convinced him of the story. And now the coroner's trying to tell. He's going to back up the mayor's scheme, right? Like he's going to tell everybody. And for the first time ever, a scientist has lied to the general public. It will never, ever happen again. Trust the science, ladies and gentlemen. Trust the science. And so Brody, unfortunately, who seems to be a generally good person, goes along with their conspiracy theory against his better judgment, and he doesn't shut the beach down. And you as a viewer is like, well, this is going to end perfectly well.
You're like, wait, what is this movie called?
Roll credits.
Yeah,
Jaws?
roll credits. And and the town made tons of
There was
money.
never a shark attack again. It was actually a boating accident.
The end.
Did you guys know that Charlton Heston wanted the role of Brody? And fucking Spielberg turned him down.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm not giving it up. You'll have to take it from my cold, dead hands.
From my cold, dead hands.
He should have played Clint, bro. Obviously, that was the role written for Heston.
This movie would suck with
That would
Charlton
have been bad.
Heston, man.
And he was right, though. Spielberg was like, he's too big. It was Brody. I mean, Brody's the main character, but Charlton Heston would have just been massive in every fucking scene.
And you wouldn't have believed any of the relationships in it, man. No, not at all.
I think, I agree with you. His acting style
Fuck
is just
that
too
guy.
He's dead, Gibbs. It's
Shits,
fine.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so Brody does, against his better judgment, he goes along with the conspiracy theory. But so later, He's sitting on the beach. I guess he only has to work like 4 hours a day. I don't really understand.
He explains later on that there hadn't been a shooting or a murder in 25 years. I mean, come on, what is he going to fucking
just
do?
takes the day off and goes to the beach with his family then, dude.
Yeah.
So he's sitting on the beach. So you're him in this scene as an as a viewer, right?
And it's anxiety in like 3 minutes. It's
painful to watch because you know there's a killer shark. We as the viewer saw him kill Christy. He knows it, and every single thing is like a trigger for him. Like the kids are like jumping and screaming in the water, and you're just like, oh, there's a shark. And he gets up and he starts to like think that the kids have been being attacked, but they're just playing, and it just keeps going just like that.
He's half-assed paying attention to people that talk to him. That guy Harry comes up to him and is, you get a little bit more backstory where he's like, I heard about you. You don't go in the water. And then he's like, that's some bad hat, Harry.
Yeah.
But that guy Harry in the book is a bigger character. He's like a journalist that's kind of like helping him out. And but yeah, he's kind of relegated to the background.
It never does say in the movie, right, why he won't go in the water. Does it say that in the book?
There was a wiener dog attack in the water.
Also, he should have
I love how they do everything full circle.
Yeah, I tell you, I wish that he just stayed at home when his wife's like, "You want to get drunk and fool around?" I was like, "Fuck yes."
We're also, I believe we're introduced to a couple of really important characters in this scene. There is Pipette, the black lab, and his owner.
Yeah,
and that's really the only characters we really need to know about.
As soon as they cut to that dog,
you're like, God damn it!
And like all the like the background noise kind of goes away just a little bit. And you're like, oh, God damn it!
I know
they're gonna kill the dog, aren't they?
Yeah, it's 100%.
Don't you hurt my dog?
Yeah, that's us. Precious. Every time we see a movie, we're like, don't fucking hurt the dog. Don't hurt the dog. This lady's like naked, skinny dipping and dies. And we're like, meh, as long as the dog's okay.
Yeah, dude, don't hurt the animal, bro.
Well, she should have been putting that chum in the water.
Yeah. So we really see Alex Kittner and his mom like having dialogue, and we also like this is kind of where they start showing that the shark is symbolized by the color yellow. The shark's presence is symbolized by the color yellow. His mom's got yellow. The raft is yellow.
I never knew that.
Later on,
the barrels,
every time,
right?
you see the barrels and everything like that. So yellow kind of signifies the presence of the shark. The kid, he's out there, and then all of a sudden. There's like fucking blood everywhere, blood, guts, and ass. You kind of think you see the fucking shark, but you're not really sure what you just fucking saw. Yeah. And poor Pipette, what the fuck happened to that dog?
Yeah, we never know.
Everybody's screaming and hollering, and there's everybody else is like, wait, hold on a second. The dog, save the fucking dog.
Yeah. So they said they had the kid that was the kid in this that got murdered by the shark. They had him obviously grown up adult talking about this. He had to film this like 4 or 5 fucking times. So they had to shoot off that blood fucking explosion underneath him because they were like, he wasn't going under enough. And then finally they had to, on the last take, they had to have a scuba diver pull him under because he was like, his arm was coming up or something.
And give him like oxygen and shit. But originally there's a scene you can find like outtakes and stuff of this on YouTube and on the internet. You didn't see this whenever I was a kid. So like whenever it surfaced, I was like, holy fuck. But you can see they used a mannequin that was full of fucking blood, and they actually showed the shark coming out of the water, chomping down on him, and it just fucking geyser.
Really?
Blood and guts. And it was originally in the film.
Yeah, that's the part that they had to cut to get the PG rating.
Well, also, like, people were, like, leaving the fucking theater. They were puking.
Yeah, I think that was the puke one, right? I
some
think that's
dude just started, like, jacking off right in the fucking front row. Like, he was just like, I'm going like this. You know?
I had a time
Furiously
machine.
masturbating.
Yeah, Spielberg's like, it's the only way I can come now.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a time machine. I wasn't not going to go back there and jack off.
Like, I mean, what are you talking about? So, but yeah, man, this was the one I think Spielberg was talking about that. One of the screenings that somebody got up and fucking, he's like, he thought they were leaving the theater because they hated the movie so much, and then the dude just vomits in the hallway. And he's like, yes.
Whenever I saw this when I was 5 years old for the first time, and my parents did not stop me from watching that scene, I was like, in denial for the first time in my life. I was
How
like,
did you not?
He's okay, right?
Yeah. How did you go back in the fucking water after that,
right.
Gibbs, at 5 years old?
Buddy, I'm the fucking dumbest kid you ever met.
Well, there was
Holy
2 of you,
shit.
so I mean,
Yeah.
you had a 50% chance. of making it.
I'm still 100% sure that my parents wanted us dead.
Did you always push Richard in first?
Yeah, he just had to outswim Richard. That's the whole thing. So
No, they would be like, hey guys, go see who can swim out the farthest before you drown.
Gibbs is like, I won. Anyway, so the kid's dead.
Right before,
See, okay, and this is another thing, guys. Like, this is Spielberg kind of lost his touch. He is willing to absolutely fucking kill this kid, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. This is what I was talking about in the Jurassic Park episode. What we needed was a dead kid in that fucking movie. You know, like we needed Tim like getting just torn apart. He's like, what the fuck?
He should have been like, do you think he saw us? And that's it. Like, and fucking cut it, print it, ship it. I'm buying that one.
Where hit that electric fence, his head just pops off.
Yeah.
So Spielberg, come on, more kids dying in your movies, please.
Dude, don't be a
Get
bitch.
back to your roots, man.
Jesus
Come on.
Christ, man, you got soft.
Yeah. So now the kid is dead, though. Now we have. Now the town's a believer.
They are, man. Like, as he's slaughtered, there's absolute panic. People are running
Only
out
for
of the
24
water.
hours.
Yeah. Only for right. And then the cuts immediately, like after the chaos, to the town meeting, and you find out you don't see her, but you
fucking 30 residents.
And
Which is the important people in town.
Which I didn't actually realize until like a little further into the film when I thought about it more, is that like these are the people, the merchants, the townsfolk that like matter, right? These aren't just citizens; they're business owners. They're business owners.
You get another glimpse of Bad Hat Harry, only he's got clothes on this time. Which, by the way, Bryan Singer's production company was named Bad Hat Harry after this because Bryan Singer was a huge Jaws fan.
All right.
Anyway, cool. But yeah, like you see this, and okay, now they start off this meeting, and this guy's like, "I got a question. Are they going to pay this out in cash or check, like the reward or whatever?" And everybody's laughing. And this fucking bitch is like, I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's funny at all. And I'm like, you fucking bitch. It's a funny joke. Come on, let us have a good time.
If you go to IMDb, her name, Karen.
Yeah.
The first Karen in any film?
This is the first time. This is the first time the word Karen was used. But yes, she's, and I'll illustrate my hypocrisy in just a minute. But
you think I'm caring about those kids? I don't care about. I ain't caring about those kids.
I don't care about nothing.
So like they're asking if they're going to close the beach, and then of course Martin Brody is like, yeah, fuck yeah, of course. Did you see that kid? The geyser of blood
exploding.
Shit.
That kid looked like Ric Flair on Saturday morning WCW.
That kid was supposed to mow my fucking lawn this week. What am I supposed to do?
And he's dead. Gibbs is correct. Mrs. Kittner, who's not present, of course, at the meeting, has put we find out a 3,000.
She's busy trying to put the kid back together.
Yeah, she's burying like an arm or a toe that she recovered after the attack. She's put a $3,000 bounty on the shark, which would be $18,000 today. I think that's.
It's like fucking crazy. Is like there's been bounties far less on human beings.
Yeah, right. Like if anybody can catch or kill the shark, it's $18,000, almost $20K in their pocket today. And of course, like Gibbs says, Brody announces the beaches are closing, and the townsfolk immediately erupt in rage because that was what was confusing. Well, because if it was normal townsfolk, they would obviously be like, "Yeah, close the beaches. We want to be safe." But the people at the meeting are angry because they know they're going to lose money.
So here's the dynamic in this town, and there's a whole like in the book. There's much more of a class warfare thing going on, where the Amity like Martha's Vineyard is vacation spot where people have summer homes. What a dick! On this island, so like the people who live at the island year round are poor, and they rely on the summer months and the summer days, especially the 4th of July, to make money. And that's why she can only offer $3,000 is because she's fucking poor, and her fucking son who made all the money by mowing lawns is now fucking dead.
He's now a
so she can't
blender,
afford much more. But yeah, these people are more worried about whether or not
he could still fertilize something.
Yeah,
he could.
And
She's
so,
like, "Is that true? Can I get any money for his remains?" And they're like, "Actually, you can." She's like,
"Yeah,
I'll be damned."
so like, and then they're having this discussion. The fucking mayor, like, Martin says it's closed. He's like, "Nope, only for 24 hours. Only for 24 hours."
Because
and Martin's
we know-
"We didn't fucking agree to that, you son of a bitch!" And he chops off his dick and he throws it to the shark.
Dude, because we know that a shark, once he eats a child like that, he's full for at least 48, 40. No, he'll be hungry again and especially if he was an Asian kid.
I like how y'all were fighting to get the racist joke in.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Hey, edit this so that I get the joke. What if it's an Asian kid?
Did he just be hungry 2 hours later?
I got it. But anyway, so they're arguing and bantering and shit like that, and we get introduced to the single greatest character in cinema history,
This
fucking
scene,
Quint.
I immediately start laughing the second he starts in, man. I've always seen pieces. This is, for some reason, this is one of the scenes that was so, captivating. It didn't matter where I was, who was watching the movie, and I always pause and look. And it was probably the dick move where everyone's arguing in town and he rakes his nails across the chalkboard, and it is grating. It's so grating.
I kind of wish he had a hook, though.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
It would have been too on the nose.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Shadwick, but it would have been too on the nose.
But
I
it
have
was
to admit it.
amazing introduction. He gives that fucking speech and shit like that, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll find the fucking shark for $3,000, but if you want me to kill it, it's gonna cost $10,000."
And I'm just like,
now
I'll catch the head.
that's $50,000 now.
The whole damn thing.
That's a businessman, is what that is.
Yeah,
it is. Which is
now it's Robert Shaw that plays Quint, right? And so Robert Shaw is, I guess, he's a European actor that's been around, obviously, way far before our time. Gibbs, I don't know if you've seen him in anything else other than this.
He was in From Russia with Love, the James Bond film, and my favorite is a movie called Black Sunday, where he's trying to prevent terrorists from blowing up the Super Bowl.
Okay, but this was one of those that he was him, and I know Richard Dreyfuss was fairly young, but there was a little bit of contention between the two, because mainly I think Robert Shaw's fucking big man on campus here, especially in this cast, where it's
and by Richard Dreyfuss's own admission, he was a cocky little prick.
I heard him say that too.
And the thing is, they didn't get along too well. And I think it was just a fucking ego thing. They buried the hatchet years later.
Well, I think it was the passing of the old guard. The old style actors kind of moving out, and here comes Richard Dreyfuss.
But Robert Shaw apparently was the old English style old actors, where he liked The Creature, so we would have got along with him. So he was doing some boozing.
Shakespearean. Doth the mother know you're wearing her drapes?
Really, what caused in a lot of there's a lot of contradictory information out there about this, but apparently what really set off Robert Shaw was they were sitting on a boat in between takes, and he was sitting there with a glass of scotch drinking, and he said, "I wish I could quit drinking." And Richard Dreyfuss grabbed the scotch and threw it out the fucking window into the water, and it pissed him the fuck off.
That story was on the documentary I watched, and they said everybody on crew was like, "Oh no!" As soon as he threw that off there, don't throw that dude's fucking
Richard Dreyfuss is like,
yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss is like,
baby steps,
and I was like, "Yeah, you're in What About Bob?"
Only perpetually 60 years old.
Yeah.
Clint, who we find out is Quint, right? Scratches his nails across the board, and he tells the townsfolk he'll kill the shark for them and take care of the problem. And he warns them. He's like, "Listen, I have experience with these things. I'm an experienced seaman. I know how to hunt and kill these. I know how to hunt and kill these creatures. If you pay me, $10,000, in addition to the 3, and I will take care of the shark for you." And the townsfolk are just kind of like, okay, we'll take that into consideration, right?
Dude, how about him just nonchalantly eating whatever the fuck he's eating?
By the way, what do you guys think he's fucking eating right there? I've always thought it was crackers, and every single time I watch that scene, I want to eat some sort of saltines.
Same here. I either thought it was crackers, or he stole the communion crackers from a church, and he was just eating those.
He's eating the unleavened bread.
like that.
Yeah.
All right, that's more. That's more.
He's eating the body of Christ.
So Quint,
This is the official like Jaws podcast, so like everything that we say
is true.
This
Allegedly.
is canon.
Allegedly.
Canon.
Allegedly, that's ignorant.
See, now we're all legal.
We're safe. No defamation. Ladies and gentlemen, Police Chief Brody is becoming increasingly nervous. This is really starting to bother him, right? He knows that this was a shark attack. It's out in the open,
right?
clearly.
Like, he knows the second one. And I love, too, like, obviously, we're 1970s, before the internet, so he's got to get a book to get facts on sharks from the fucking public library.
Side note, did any of your dads or anybody ever told to like look it up, meaning open an inside?
Yeah.
My dad, that was his favorite thing. He'd literally point to the Encyclopedia Britannica in our living room. It was in the living room. And he'd be like, go look it up, son. You want to know something? Like, I'm just like, God.
That's a good way to learn shit, though, Leaf. Like,
you had a house?
He was right, and I was an idiot.
Shadwick lived in a shanty.
Yeah, and so Brody gets like
it was
book
a sea shanty full of semen.
Especially when he was done with it.
The Jackson Pollock.
He starts to like pour over shark facts, right? And
I love
it's just
this.
like shark attack victims. And honestly, I'm going to be 100% real. This is the nastiest part in the film. Like, for me. Like, this is like, I understand movie magic and all that.
Because those are real pictures.
Those are
pictures
real
of
freaking
shark
pictures of people with their thighs like ripped out. And I'm even now when I watch this, I was like, ugh.
Dude, yeah, it's fucking gross.
It's pretty freaking terrible. And he's looking up.
Actually, there was like similar reaction in the movie theater where the guy in the front was just beating the fuck off.
Until it bled?
Okay.
Gross, Gibbs. Jesus.
And 3,
Some things
2,
you don't talk about in
Facts are
public.
facts, bro.
1. And so, well, he starts looking up these books, right? Like, he starts doing research because he's trying to figure out as like he actually is like a good man deep down. He made a mistake covering up obviously what he knew was a shark attack originally, and it's all out in the open, but he's trying to figure out how to best deal with the threat that is potentially threatening the people.
He's like,
and so he's trying
we
to learn
need is
information.
an oceanographer.
Right?
That's what we need.
His
We need
wife-
a paying gig.
His wife was actually like sort of like, well, you're overreacting, and you see her at one point in time like look at the book, and it's like a shark attack victim, and they call their son in, who they bought, like their eldest son. They have 2 kids. We might have glazed over that. They do have 2 children.
Yes.
They bought him like a dinghy, like a little,
and
like
Chris Farley was like,
Quit playing with your dinghy.
and they bought their like eldest son a dinghy to play with, and like now they've realized their mistake, and like even the mom is starting to get nervous.
No.
She's like, you know what? Come on in, like,
Yeah.
let's not like
Listen
do
to your
this.
father.
She's
Right.
like, maybe we shouldn't let him play with his dinghy.
yeah, she's like, maybe we shouldn't get drunk and fool around.
Yeah.
Does anyone else just
there was
cool
some
with
great,
that?
like,
'cause
naturalistic dialogue right before them where he's sitting there and she like gets in his arms and she's like, you wanna get drunk and screw around or whatever? Like,
Bro.
I was like, Jan, thank you,
Thank
Jan.
You know that anytime a wife is like, hey, you want to get drunk and screw around, you know you're not getting any. That's why they're giving you booze. Is they're like, not tonight.
Bro, she
pal."
hands him a glass of whiskey, dude. She's so bro.
God, to live in the 70s.
Yeah.
Sign me the fuck up.
All right, listen. Anyways, that's not the important scene before we all get triggered. All the old married men on the
All of
podcast
us are
get
like,
upset, right? But there's a more important scene here. 2 fishermen decide they're going to cash in on this $3,000 bounty, man. And how do they go fishing for the shark, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. They go in an old rickety pier. They
Yep.
hook a piece of meat to a chain.
That's right.
Tied to a. That's right. And they.
His wife's pot roast.
It was, man.
Yes, tied to a like a rubber life preserver, and just yeet it out like into the ocean and just sit there because it's tied to the pier.
This old ass pier. It's probably
And
fine.
this is another scene that was filmed during the day that they
use the night filter on.
Yeah, they use the night filter on.
And you get this good setup. They're sitting there for a minute, and one of the guys is like, "Can we go home now?"
Yeah, that's Charlie. Can we go home now?
Yeah. So then, of course, they get a bite.
Hey, he's taking it.
And and again, you can't see the shark because the fucking mechanical shark is not working. So they turn the pier into the shark, basically.
Yep.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah,
and
again,
you hear
use
the
your imagination, man.
Yeah, you hear the ominous music yet again. Suddenly,
incredible movie. I know a kid that stopped watching this movie after that scene. You know, they get back on the fucking, you know, so the dock fucking collapses from the shark, and Charlie's getting swept away with it. Yeah, and so he starts coming back, and then you can see the fucking dock turning around and coming back to him, and his buddy's like, "Swim, Charlie, swim!" And Charlie's, "Will you shut the fuck up? I am swimming."
And you just know he's dead.
That's a great line to me. He's like, "Trust me, Charlie. Don't look back."
Yeah.
Just swim.
Yes. That's really, you do not want that fucker. And he's swimming, and he's having a hard time getting off the dock because it's wet and everything like that. And he gets up.
Pulling him. His friend's pulling him up.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he's sitting there, and they're like breathing, and he's like, "Oh shit. Can we go home now?" And then you see the broken dock wash up on the shore, and it's so beautiful. So I knew a kid that stopped watching this movie at that point, and he always referred to the movie as the Killer Docks movie. The Killer Docks movie.
Yeah.
So
he didn't realize it.
I think this is brilliant though, because you have the little joke at the first, which you don't even realize it's a joke, but then at the end of that very like dramatic scene, you've got another little joke to just like lift you back up.
Yep.
You know,
it's cutting the drama with comedy, and some of our favorite movies they cut up comedy with drama. So it's a nice technique that after doing this podcast for almost 2 years, I see a lot of these now. They really like stick out where I'm like, well done, good job.
Right.
But also I'm gonna make a cut of Jaws like where there's just no shark attacks or anything. So it's just when he's like, "Can we go home now?" Then I'm just gonna cut to the next scene. And then I'm just it's gonna be the most boring cut of Jaws ever. No shark attacks.
Have they been playing the theme song?
The Jaws theme song?
So whenever the shark is actually there, the theme song is played.
So I think that's another way of getting around the shark not working. You're not seeing the shark on screen.
Yeah.
Because the tempo of that music changes like as he's approaching, and I think it even goes higher when he gets closer to surface level. So the deeper he is, the deeper the music. The closer he is, the faster the music.
The faster, yes. It does speed up, and also like the volume increases too.
Yeah.
Like and the intensity.
You get more strings, like accenting the drama and the action that's going on.
Yeah. You guys know how?
Was this John Hughes?
This is John Williams.
John Williams. Sorry.
Yeah. You guys know how John Williams like debuted the music to Spielberg?
Mm-hmm.
He calls him like, "Hey, I've got the theme for the shark." So he comes over, and like Spielberg is like expecting this like big string, orchestra thing. And then he goes to the piano, and he's like,
those bass notes.
He holds up one finger, and it goes, dum dum. And Spielberg's like kind of thought he was joking. He goes, "No, that's it."
Yeah,
but it fucking worked.
Yeah, and you know what? It was brilliant. And a lot of people kind of say, "Well, it's just 2 notes." It's a hell of a lot more than 2 notes. There's a whole
score.
There's different parts that at the end during some of the adventures you hear this da 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 da, and it's like it's so fucking beautiful. He won an Academy Award for this. This put him on the map. I mean, this motherfucker went on to make every fucking theme song that you
soundtrack ever.
I'm glad you said that about the adventure music, because I mentioned Rufio earlier. That music reminds me of Hook.
Yeah.
Which was also John Williams, if I'm not mistaken. But it's got that kind of like playful, going on an adventure.
Yeah, he did Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park. I mean, this motherfucker is the soundtrack of our lives.
That's what I mean. Like,
Star Wars, Superman.
But
just to hit this home too, I mean, we're very much into this movie at this point, and still no shark.
Yeah,
which is great.
Never seen a shark.
During the Kintner attack, you kind of can see it, but you don't really see anything other than maybe like a tip of the nose. But the thing is, there's so much shit going on, you don't realize what you're looking at. I don't know what that's.
Yeah. I didn't notice it. Like it's a shark though, right? But like you don't like. I didn't remember seeing it. I'm a Chris. I do not remember seeing the shark.
The shark actually jumps out and does a moonwalk across the water. It's pretty fucking cool.
It did an acai moonsault off the dock, and
you guys must have been watching the TV version.
Yeah.
It was censored.
That's really the only way you should.
So
watch
these guys, was there ever any mention of the dock incident?
No,
in the movie after that.
That's it. But those guys were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing either.
Yeah.
And fucking dude's wife's gonna be pissed.
Dude,
roast is gone.
Roast's gone, dude.
And also,
Jaws
there's no
took it.
$3,000 fucking dollars. Yeah.
Did I burn the roast?
Plus the spare tire. He was using the spare tire as the fucking floaty, like the.
Right. The whole thing is just a nightmare, right? Like, and there is a bit of levity at the end, but it was like a really, really intense scene. But the next scene is where, to me, the movie really, really takes off, right? So Mrs. Kittner, unsatisfied, obviously, with the townsfolk, their effort in catching their son's beastly murderer, has put out evidently an ad to newspapers and tabloids and everything in all of the surrounding areas, and they all come flooding in. Shark hunters from every and fishermen from like every corner.
I will say this too, because I think this is one of the last times we're kind of really talking about Mrs. Kittner. But that lady was on one of the docs I watched, and she said to this, like, when this doc was 20 years ago, she said people would ask her to slap them. In public, like she did, like in the movie or whatever. And I was like,
it's the only way they can come.
But
I mean, short of her shitting on their chest.
That scene is so gut wrenching. But anyway, like everybody's at the harbor, everybody's fucking going crazy. I think this is when we saw Popeye the Harbor Master.
Mm-hmm.
We see Ben Gardner, who is like the know-it-all guy, and who he is the guy that Robert Shaw based the characterization of Quint on. He's the guy that ends up with his head later on. But you see all this stuff. Everybody's going all over the fucking place. All these people are locals that actually live on the island, and they were told by Spielberg, you can improvise whatever. So, Hooper shows up. Brody's like trying to get everything going. He doesn't realize who he's talking to, and he's like, hey, can you go tell those guys that they're overloading that boat? And he walks over and he says, hey, the chief wants me to tell you you're overloading the boat, and they tell him to fuck off pretty much. And then he's like, okay, well, do you have any suggestions for a hotel or a restaurant around here? And he's like, yeah, just walk straight forward. And that was a local and that had asked, hey, can I just make up whatever I want to say? And they just let him say it.
But that plays into, like, he's an outsider. People know that he's not. Like,
they're
from
not
the
listening
island.
to him. Yeah, fuck.
So,
what do you know, Chief?
They tried to have Dreyfuss drive the boat in. They wanted that shot of him driving the boat in and getting off the boat, but he can't fucking drive a boat, and he crashed in the dock 4 times. And finally they were like, "We're just gonna shoot you getting off the fucking boat." Like,
he crashed the boat.
Yeah, he just kept knocking it into the dock. He couldn't fucking drive the boat.
Damn it, Martin! I don't know what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah. And so Spielberg's like baby steps.
So like Matt Hooper shows up on the scene, played by Richard Dreyfuss. He is an oceanographer from the Oceanographic Institute. And in the midst of this chaos, like, all these people are showing up to go try to hunt this killer shark. This guy shows up to actually help because Brody tried to call in some legitimate scientists to figure out what they're dealing with, right? Like, he's like Police Chief Brody, sort of like, the calm head here that like knows what he's doing, at least, or he figures he does, to try to find a solution to this problem. And so when he shows up, like, there's people with dynamite that are gonna blow up the shark, dude. Like, he's just got like a vest or like whatever it is, like multiple sticks of dynamite. Like, there's some maniacs there. They're gonna go hunt this. And there's a funny scene later on.
Maniac.
Yeah, when they're actually like sailing out and they're all like fighting each other, like almost ramming their boats into each other. Like, it's just pandemonium. So Police Chief Brody is trying to deal with all this when Matt Hooper shows up.
I do love the interaction too when he realizes that it's Hooper and then it's Brody. Yeah, and they're just like, "Oh, it's you!"
Yeah, he's like I'm Brody.
Yeah, and then like it's this big like I thought that was a good like I was like, "Yeah, man, you guys are gonna be fast friends."
Yeah, he's like Brody calls in
Hooper's like, "Can I fuck your wife?" Oh, I'm sorry, that's the book.
He's like, something about my wife. She's got black eyes.
Like a doll's eyes. But Hooper,
I already told her twice.
but Hooper is the expert that Brody is called in because he wants a shark expert to tell him what he's dealing with, and he gets that. But like Hooper's like annoying, like out of the gate, like, and I'm not even sure if Gibbs, you can explain this. Like he kind of pisses me off because he's an egghead. Clearly, he's got these glasses.
That's why, because he's
kind of he's a smart ass a little bit. Like
he the thing is, he is the rich boy that shows up, you know,
right.
and it rubs me the wrong way too, especially, you know, whenever later on, whenever they're going around at night looking for Ben Gardner's boat, and you know, he's like, "Are you, so like you rich?" And he's like, "Yep."
I know, and there's even little things too, like when they're, you know, later on, I think in this scene, like they're drinking wine. He's like, "You want any wine?" And he's like, "Let it breathe." Like,
let it breathe. Like, and he's like,
he's pouring into it.
Yeah, there's again, this is another one of those class things that kind of show up a little bit more in the book. It's a little bit more pronounced in the book, but there's it's still there.
Yeah. He reminded me of like someone that would have like lived in the village, like a hippie kind of guy.
Yeah, he definitely looks like that. And I just want to say that, like, I'm not even sure this is intentional, but some of his jokes and quips, in my opinion, don't land. They're honestly annoying, and I don't know if it's intentional. It's brilliant writing because like he's trying to be funny, and I'm like, dude, you're just pissing me off right now.
His character wins me over on the boat later on, whenever with his rivalry and relationship with Quint. Like they butt heads, but then they kind of like soften up, and as they're softening up, you kind of see the lighter side of both of them.
Right.
So like he becomes more of a likable character as the movie goes on. But I think
I liked him in the dinner scene. Like,
well, I'm with Chris. The fucking wine thing pissed me off.
Yeah,
so at that point, I was like, "Fuck you."
There's another scene
also
that
bring
I like.
a beer next time, you stupid.
Yeah, but Shattuck's also from a higher class than us, so I mean, so you would relate with him.
Yeah, if I was Brody, I would have been like, "You brought fucking wine."
I like that he pours an entire fucking like water glass full of wine. I'm like, now that's a wine pour.
I like him in another scene, but like we'll get to it. Like I'll tell you when we get there. Like you know where he kind of changed my mind.
But he does, you know, he takes him to the body so he can be like, okay, this was a fucking shark attack, and
let's verify it.
Yeah, not only is this a shark attack, this is a massive fucking shark, which I did find out in research. They originally, which is so fucking crazy how Hollywood like goes on these like exact parameters and shit. This dude that was drawing and trying to get, okay, how big's a shark going to be? They started with a 30-foot shark, and they were like, well, that's just fucking absurd. We'll do 25 feet.
Yeah.
But it works. Like, it's, you know.
So you know, there are some shots, like when Dreyfus is in the cage.
That's real.
Yeah, so they sent some people down to like South Africa to get some footage of, because obviously South Africa only want great whites there. Wait, what? But the ones there were like 16 to 18 feet. So to make it look bigger, it wasn't even Richard Dreyfuss is in the cage. They had someone that was like basically like jockey size,
a little person.
They got a little person to go in there. Like, well, I guess he was like 5 something.
Yeah,
like he was a short dude.
But the shark that they showed earlier that the guy caught, and he's like, "Oh, why?" It was a tiger shark or whatever, and they're cutting it open on the fucking dock, right? That was a real shark. That wasn't like any sort of prop or whatever. That's a shark that they actually caught in Florida, flew it up via FedEx, and then named it Oscar, and they used it. And
when I was watching it back, and I was like, this is either the best fucking special effects fucking 50 years before they had the technology to do it, or this is a real fucking shark before before PETA Griffin getting hold of them.
They think they've got a killer shark on their hands that they've captured, and obviously Matt Hooper, after he's examined Chrissy's dead body, knows that this is not the shark. He's measured the jaw length, the width, and he knows this is the wrong one. But everybody's
probably is, Martin. It probably is.
Yeah. Everyone's still celebrating.
Look how like excited and happy Brody was too. He thought they caught it, so he had this fucking giant grin on his face.
He went to the payphone. He called his wife. He's like, "Do you want to get like drunk and like screw around tonight?" And she's like, "I'm just not in the mood."
Holy Scheider really fucking owns this movie, man. He is so great in this movie. I'm telling you, like it's so believable. Is that like spazzy fucking and you know it
and
works.
Wasn't he like he ran into Spielberg like at a party or something, and Spielberg was telling him, like I think like Hooper had been cast, Quint had been cast, and he's like, we're still trying to find someone for Brody, and Scheider's like, I'll do it.
Yeah, but even then, like Spielberg was like, I don't know about that because he had just come off of playing, he was in the French Connection. He was like not the main character. Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle was the main character in that, but they also had a
spinoff.
Spinoff. There we go. Thank you. They had a spinoff called The 7-Ups, and he became the main character. So he played these
Make 7 up yours.
Yeah, he played these heroic guys, taking down villains and stuff like that. So Spielberg was worried that he was going to be too heroic. He couldn't play and so he was very reluctant to hire him, and eventually he did, and thank God he did because he really fucking nailed that.
He nails it.
And I mean, I think it's important too in the scene because
this is huge.
Hooper's like, this is. I don't think this is a shark, but because everybody else is so on board with this whole fucking fiasco's done, that they're like they want to believe that's the shark. And even like he's telling Hooper, he's like, it probably is, but maybe it's not. And like he's like the jawline doesn't match up, and he keeps telling him, and you can see like or Hooper's telling that to a Brody, but Brody just wants it to be over.
So we get this next scene with Miss Kittner. Like, we haven't seen her since her son was murdered. We've just been knowing about her bounty. She's sort of driving her bounty is driving all the plot forward. And she shows up, and we get a really, really emotional scene. Gibbs sort of like mentioned it before, and they think they've caught the shark. And in the midst, she's got a black veil on. She's still in mourning, obviously, for her dead son. And like, this is just like a really terrible, like, and sad scene. She walks up to Brody.
Chief Brody?
Yes?
And she just like clocks him in the face.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is the scene I mentioned earlier where like people wanted her to like slap them.
Really fucking hard to watch that too. There's something just so uncomfortable and sad.
It's so sad. And basically to summarize her speech to Brody is, you knew this was a shark attack. You hid the truth. And because you did that, my son died, which is 100% true. There's not an argument against it. She's 100% right about it, and Brody just takes it. Brody just like takes a slap.
Now, I mean, you kind of feel bad for Brody because he was just doing what the mayor told him to do,
Mayor.
And the mayor's standing there like, I mean, shit, yeah, he probably should have.
He's like, I tried to tell him. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Kittner, I'll hit him too if you want me to.
Yeah, dude. Police Chief Brody lied, and people died.
He's like, you go back to your AFI concert, and then I'll take care of this.
So they do go and cut open the shark that was caught, and
Oscar.
And there's Oscar, caught in Florida, flying up FedEx. But they cut him open, and Richard Dreyfuss is really good here. Like he's trying to kind of narrate like what he's doing, and he keeps on like gagging at the smell of the entrails or whatever.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But there's no signs of
because he's a rich boy.
The Kittner.
Yeah,
he's a rich boy.
Richard Dreyfuss is the one guy that Spielberg kept getting frustrated with for improvising shit because at one point during that scene, he just takes his fingers. He's like,
Guess what I did last night?
Dude.
So they know now that this is not the shark that killed the kid. So they do a little nighttime boat investigation.
Well, they're still drunk from the dinner they had before, but fuck it. Like, it's
they're trying to, he's like, hey, this is when they feed, so let's go to like his feeding area where he's
what it's like? It's that shit, like, I mean, allegedly say, like, me and, a couple of us in the early 2000s were drinking, and we were like, well, we don't work at the movie theater anymore, but, I mean, we know how to thread the projector, and we know the back door's open, so, I mean, let's just go watch this movie, allegedly. When we don't work there, allegedly.
And when we know that we could go on the roof, and we know that we could shit off the side of the building.
We can do all these things.
Allegedly.
But I mean, it's just one of those. It's one of those.
By we, I mean you.
Yeah, it's one of those late night. I mean, they do eat at night or whatever, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's jump on the boat. Let's just go. What could possibly go wrong?
And he's like, bro, he's like, I'm not drunk enough for this, and he's like, yes, you are. He's like, I can't do this. Yes, you can.
You can. He's like, but you didn't even let the wine breathe.
Yeah.
So as far as stories on production, this was probably my favorite one. So they get out, they find this wrecked boat. It's Ben Gardner's, which I keep wanting to call Ben Hubbard for some reason, but
you idiot.
But Hooper gets in the water like at night, and he's going to go like check it out. So after they screened this, everybody was just sold. They're like, this is great, it's perfect. And Spielberg was like, there was one big screen that we're missing, and so he wanted to redo the way that spoiler alert, Ben Gardner's head rolls out of part of the wreckage. But
we're at
it
the
was
part
like,
that's not a spoiler now. You just say it.
I know. But it's like, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You know, you could have the head rolls out and when the audience sees it before Hooper does, you could have like Hooper sticking his head into the wreckage and it falls out on top or whatever. But they redid it to where you see it simultaneously with Hooper.
Right. And he has that, you jump, but it gives you a second to react before you see Hooper react.
Yeah. And something I was listening to said that this was actually not Dreyfuss that made that face.
Yeah, it was a diver. Like, I don't know who the diver was, but it wasn't Dreyfuss from what I read.
That's weird. But good on Spielberg for recutting that.
The thing is, like, Spielberg now regrets adding that to it because
it's so weird.
But originally, the biggest scream, the biggest yell, the biggest jump in the movie was whenever it comes out of the water as Brody is chumming the water.
Yeah.
And the biggest scream, biggest scare came from the shark. Instead, now it comes from a head just falling out, and it's not. And he just kind of regretted that that's the thing. So after that, the reaction kind of got toned down because people were on their guard.
But I think that it works out better because when the shark's head does come out, that's like a passive, like it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not agreeing with him. I'm just saying that that's what he regrets. I personally think that there's not a single shot that's wrong in this movie. I would not change a fucking frame of this film. So I'm not bitching about it. But Steven Spielberg's kind of like regrets doing that because he thinks that the big scare should go to the shark.
What does he know?
Yeah, Hooper had a giant tooth too when he saw this.
Hooper,
and so he drops it and goes back up to the surface and is like, so. You know that Mista lady? I think I killed her. So he moved. So now you're like, okay, so this shark is taken out. It's on the offensive. It's taking out people that are trying to take it out. Like it's taking down boats, which is very important in the NES game Jaws that I had.
If you're paying attention, Ben Gardner, they mention him several times. He's a man that's kind of respected. Whenever those guys caught the tiger shark, Brody's asking, did Ben Gardner catch that? And they're like, no, we caught it. Because he thinks that he's like the most badass fucking fisherman. So, like, this is a guy that's killed by a fucking shark, and, like, he's supposed to be the shark badass other than Quint on the island.
Yep.
And so they go to the mayor, and they're...
The mayor!
And they're like...
It's true. He
like,
has no dick.
We've got... we've got a big situation on our hands here. And they're like, well, you got any proof? And he's like, well, he had a tooth, but he dropped it. And he's like, nobody, no crime.
He's like, the beach will stay open. He's like, I am just buried in paperwork.
I have declared it.
Yeah, and one of the best lines of the movie, one of the most memorable lines of the movie is, you think you're going to ignore this particular problem until it swims up and bites you in the ass. You know, like, it's that dialogue, it just shows how, like, stubborn this fucking mayor is, and he's more concerned with graffiti on a billboard.
Yeah. Sick vandalism. That is a deliberate mutilation of a public service message.
He was so mad about the graffiti. Like
with him finding a great white shark, fuck it, I give up. Carrion Carcaridius.
Gibbs wandered off 4 hours ago.
Was it was the graffiti on the billboard when Dwight and Andy from Dunder Mifflin are up there?
No!
So without any proof, it's fucking 4th of July, and guess what? Like, game on, opening the beaches. Fuck it. Like, Brody is just gonna try to do what he can do, right? Like.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the media circus is actually driving more people to the beach. Like, it's not explicitly stated, but they show like the fucking kid playing the arcade game and everything like that, and everybody's celebrating, and the place is packed out. But like the media frenzy, people want to see a fucking shark, and they want to see a shark attack.
Dude, side note: when I was watching the arcade that close to the sand, I was like, those fucking circuits are gonna be like rusted in like 4 fucking days. What are you guys doing?
By the way, that was the Sega arcade classic Killer Shark, circa 1972.
Nice.
Actual real game.
An actual
Has
game.
anyone here played that game?
I have
because
not.
it looks fucking badass.
I'll look it up on my cabinet. It might be on there.
It looks really fucking good.
Yeah, basically you just kill sharks.
You
in
shoot
the
a
game.
shark that's kind of just going like this.
Mercy! Get this thing off of me!
Word's out,
Yeah.
There's a shark, so nobody's going in the water, like, which is good for Brody. Like, he's kind of sitting there, just watching, making sure everybody's all right. And then the goddamn mayor comes down and he goes to one of the, I guess, the more influential people, and tells him to get in the water. Basically,
he said, "Get your fat ass in the water."
And the guy's even
prune ass. Why?
You can tell the guy doesn't want to. Like, he's like, well, I just put on sunblock.
Yeah.
Get your ass in the water.
He gets it in the water.
Swallow
and the wife and like him and his wife are just like looking back and forth the entire fucking time. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah. But then once they see those 2 people go in, then 2 more people go in.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, yeah.
Well. Those people didn't die. We're all safe.
And Brody's kid's out there with his dinghy out in front of everybody.
And he tells him to move his dinghy. He's got to move his dinghy to a different location.
The pond.
Go to the pond.
The pond.
Is that just another word for like an inlet?
Yeah, it's a very shallow inlet that there's no waves. You're not going to be getting hit by the fucking waves and everything like that. So it's just calm water.
Okay.
They're going to be sitting there, and he thinks that it's safe because it's not open water.
Right.
So he moves over there, and then we get these
dinghy.
patrol boats out in the water, and they spot something. And some girl spots something, and she's like, oh my fucking God. And then they show this one dude who's like, fuck you people. And he starts throwing kids at the fucking shark. And he's just like,
I love the shot. There's one shot. I don't remember if it's this one or earlier in the movie. There's one shot where a woman just stands there and screams in panic, and the camera like zooms in on her face. But she's making no attempt to run or anything.
Freaking
Full
out.
panic, like
crash out.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know how these people would fucking act. So everybody's freaking out. They get out of the fucking water, and these patrol boats come up, and it turns out
just 2 kids.
Just 2 fucking
They're just
dongs.
mucking about,
Yeah.
It was only one kid. The other that bully kid made the other kid
He
do
made
it.
me do it.
Yeah. That's a solid case, right? The other kid made him do it.
No matter what, you can never believe somebody that says that shit, because I would I'd tell my brothers all the fucking time. I'd kick a kid in the nuts and be like, they made me fucking do it. You know I'm the youngest one in the family. I cannot fucking make decisions.
Gibbs is like, put us in a lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
Hand me the keys, you cocksucker.
It's like 1999, and you're wondering if that's the real Sting or the NWO Sting. Well, it turns out it was the NWO Sting, and the real Sting is going to the pond to murder.
And you see this. You see this hippie girl with this like the red hair.
Stuttering Stanley is just like short the pond.
Man, I bet she braids her bush.
But the thing is, dude, that fucking she does. I've seen it. There was a deleted scene.
I don't mind it so much.
But yeah, that is it, like he's like, what? And like Brody's like, what now? And then like fucking Lorraine Gary's like, dude, Michael's in the goddamn pond. And then you just start seeing like the panic. The music starts building, and he starts walking through.
And then he starts running, and then he fucking has that jump off, like where he's jumping down, like he's like that. Yeah. That whole shot is again anxiety fucking
now,
in however
things have
seconds.
changed because like everybody got sensitive about certain fucking shit. But originally, like they have digitally removed this. But originally, the Twin Towers were there, and he actually web slung to the fucking pond.
Yeah. But 9/11 was a national tragedy.
Yes, it was.
Why do you laugh at that?
I thought that scene played, at least Brody's reaction, I thought it played a little weird because, one, he was the one that told Michael to go into the pond, so he already knew that he was there. And then, the wife says Michael's in the pond, and he just starts kind of walking. If my son was in there with the killer shark, it'd look like fucking.
But you also have to remember,
like Sauron, where he's like throwing people to and
you
fro.
also have to remember what he just went through, because he's fucking freaking out over everything, and after that big scare and the fucking letdown, he's just like, okay, what now? And that's like his reaction. He's like, is this another fucking prank? He doesn't fucking know. And it's not until his wife is like, Michael's in the pond, and it starts slowly dawning on him, if this is real. Fuck, not Israel the country, but if this is real,
it's real. It's
like
real.
fuck.
This
and so
episode
and that fucking like, this scene did not hit me as hard when I was a kid, but now that I have a son, that is perfectly delicious for a shark, like I just like. The way that it fucking feels, this is one of the scenes that like gets my heart. I'm like, go fucking save him! God damn it!
Thank God he was the mistake by the lake, not the ocean.
Yeah, that's very true.
But I mean, this scene terrified the absolute fuck out of me the first time I saw it. So you see the kids out on the water, and this guy is like in a fucking little dinghy, and he's like, hey, you guys need any help?
With your dinghy.
Yeah. He's like, let me show you what we did in Scouts, and he starts pulling off his pants, and
they're like, Scoutmaster Kevin.
but no, you see the shark's coming up behind him and shit like that, and he. And it is so fucking terrifying.
The scariest shot in the whole movie to me is where it's passing Michael, because I don't know exactly how they do this. And remember, I've only seen this once, but I remember like it almost feels like you're riding the shark, but you're also seeing it from Michael's point of view.
Yeah.
So originally this was shot, and you can see some of the footage of this as well. But originally the shark grabs the guy, and the guy is like in the shark's mouth, and he's being pushed towards Michael. So it's the perspective of the guy, and the guy ends up like grabbing Michael, and Michael is being pushed by the shark as well. So you can see it's traumatizing. He doesn't actually swim past him, but they ended up cutting it that way so that it's like, but
so
it's
to hit on the shark real quick, what they found out was much like I was talking about with the arcade machines, electronics and fucking salt water do not mix. So what they ended up having to do is they ended up using pneumatic controls. For those who don't know, it's compressed air that'll open and close shit, right? So you can use PVC piping or whatever kind of, shit that would be much better in salt water. But even with that, when you're using that compressed air, sometimes parts would break, all the time hoses would blow out. You've got to reattach them, got to figure out what it was. But I thought it was pretty smart that they actually went to like pneumatic, because in industries I've worked in currently and in the past, we have pneumatic valves, that air controlled valves, for that very reason, because it's just better if you have water, because if you get water to the electronic valves, guess what? Bad times. So anyway, that's what they use, this whole rig of pneumatic valves to operate the jaws, to operate the fins, to operate everything. So I thought that was pretty smart. Except for apparently it wasn't, because they didn't get to use the shark very much. But when they did, they sure did maximize it. So. So this dude gets ripped fucking limb from limb, and Michael, he witnesses the whole thing and goes into complete fucking shock, which is crazy, because when they drag him after this intense chase scene, they drag him on land. You're like, did the shark get him? Like, what's going on? And then Brody's like, he's in shock. And he's like trying to get blankets, like cover him up, and they take him to the hospital.
When you're a 5-year-old and you hear that he's in shock, you don't know what fucking in shock is. So I'm like, does the goddamn shark have electric teeth too?
I'm like, I told him not to use electronic valves.
This is so crazy. So
that guy was like, I can't feel my leg.
This is one of the scenes that I don't know if it was pioneered before this, but this is like what I would always call in horror movies, like the infamous like double scare. And so you have like the fake shark attack, but the audience doesn't know that. Like we're ready for Jaws to kill somebody else, and when you see the fin, you're like, "Here it comes! This is it!"
Yeah.
And then like
it's the woman closing the medicine cabinet, and you know something's going to be there, but then it's not.
But then it's not, right? Like it's like, oh well, everything's fine. Then it's just two kids messing around. Like they get apprehended, and then suddenly over in the lagoon, like bam, like the real attack happens, and you're just like, just when you felt safe, like the movie robs you from that, and like that's exactly what happens in this scene. And it's, in my opinion, it's amazing, and the after effects of the attack are shock waves. The town has had enough. They know they have to do something. They can no longer just ignore the problem. So guess what? They hire our boy Quint.
They have to hire a man with a specific set of skills. Now they're going to go get the hired gun. They're hiring Quint, the old seaman, giggity. And it's time.
The thing about old seamen is they don't swim very well.
I actually decided that I liked Hooper. Because Quint and him instantly hate each other.
Yeah.
They can't stand each other. You've got like the science rich boy who has done all of his research like with colleges, and you have the guy who's like the grizzled seaman. We don't know much about his past yet, but we know he's the guy that's like the real deal. He's been on the ocean, like he's fought on the waters, like he knows.
And, like Quint grabs his hands and he's like explaining to him like, look, these aren't
soft hands.
These are soft hands or whatever. And fucking Hooper replies, I don't need this working class hero bullshit.
This is a real case of art imitating life, because like they were kind of at odds with each other in real life.
Absolutely.
Made it even better on screen.
But I like
it works.
I like how, again with the exposition, they walk into Quint's place and you get a better understanding of the characters. Like Brody, he's looking around like, what the hell is all this? Because he's got all these like, skulls and skeletons of sharks mounted to the wall. And Hooper walks in and he's like reaching in his pants, like, yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's a really good contrast between the two, because you've already seen Hooper and he's got this boat that has all these bells and whistles, cameras, radars, all sorts of fucking shit. And you go and see Quint's place and it's very primitive. There's just
because that's what he's done. You assume this is what he's done his whole fucking life.
Yeah. But it's like the old school versus the new school.
Right.
Dude, Leaf, what's the cheers they toast before heading out, man?
Man, again, like Quint's like sort of like the entire time Quint's like sort of roasting like Hooper this entire Hooper, and like Hooper's sort of like it starts to take it like at first he's very like they fight, right? But he starts to like take it in good stride and realizes that okay, I am sort of like this egghead, this out of place guy, but I'm still smart. I know what's going on. I have something to contribute here. Like I can be part of this crew, and he is vastly more useful than Brody going forward. But as they set out, like the music is like all hyped, but right before they cheers to bow-legged women.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women. Every year I watch this on 4th of July along with 1776, and every year our friend Jeff, the lighter of the Parkers, Jeff Parker, he's a huge Jaws fan, so every year on the 4th of July I get hammered and I watch this movie and I text him, here's the swimming with bow-legged women, and then you tell him how much I love him and all that stuff.
Yes.
So now we're setting out.
That's really nice, man.
Yeah. We're setting out in the Orca. It's a small fishing vessel. It's not very big, but you kind of get the tension is building between Quint and Hooper, where you're like, Jesus Christ. And I think they just basically send the Brody's just resigned to fucking chum duty, which Brian Ballard used to call that when he was taking a dirty shit. He'd be like, I just
gonna
chum in the waters. Just wanted to throw that in there. Shut up, Bull. Anyway, so he is just.
Well, he did that at least 6 times a day, right?
Dude, and you see Brody just about to fucking vomit because it's just fucking fish guts and shit, right? It's just ground up fish you're just throwing in the water, and it's disgusting, and it smells fucking terrible. And he's, he's
kind of smells like fish.
Yeah, this is he is quote unquote a fish out of water here. He's not used to this. Like you saw earlier when he went to Quint's place. He's about to fuck. He's about to.
Guess
vomit.
what I did last night?
Yeah, he's got. What did he have? Does he have like? I forgot what it is that he rubs on that shit on his.
It's Old Spice.
That's what it was, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was Old Spice. Well, I know I've been making up a whole lot of shit, but it
Yeah,
really was
it
Old
wasn't.
Spice this time. I'm right.
Yeah, and actually in the outtakes there was Old Spice and there was a chloroform right next to each other.
Yeah.
He grabbed the wrong one.
I was trying to think of the word chloroform. I was like, it's not ether.
So in the book, when they go out, every day at the end of the day they go back in. So they're constantly going back. In Steven Spielberg,
it's much better this way.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg decided it's not that scary if you're like, you know what, things are getting too real. Let's just go home.
Right.
He made it so that you, other than towards the very end, you don't see the land. It makes you feel like they're very isolated, secluded out there, and shit. And
it's one of the most important plot points because that's when you feel like you're out there, right? Like there's no
you're
escape.
alone. Yeah.
Right? And we already know that Jaws will sink ships and he'll attack because he's already done it before. They find that wreckage with what's his name? With his head. Ben Gardner. They find that the ship is destroyed. It's not completely sunk, but it's wrecked and unusable. So that was foreshadowing here. And there's dead people there. So we know that this shark will attack the ship until it's crippled, basically.
So after it escapes from the line or whatever. And then you get when T.S. proposes to his girlfriend where Jaws pops out of the water. As he's chumming, you get that great shot. Does the slow back away and you get the fucking iconic.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Improvised line, by the way.
Was it? Nice.
Yeah, it was an improvised line, and originally, people were still when they screened it, people were still chattering and making noise and shit from being scared from the shark. That everybody missed that line. And Steven Spielberg wanted everybody to have that comic relief after that big scare. So he extended the scene so that people would shut the fuck up, guys. and then you can hear that. And the timing is perfect. It works just absolutely.
Shoot!
Yeah.
So you got these harpoons and the barrels, and then I guess with the theory being you harpoon the shark, it's stuck in them, and then it's going to wear itself out, and then you can drag it back.
You can drown it. It'll drown if the shark wears itself out and it can't move forward anymore. It will just drown.
But then you just drag the carcass back to
the barrel is supposed to keep it from being able to go deep underwater.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So but not apparently a 25-foot shark. But anyway, so he's got 2 barrels in it out of the gate, and it actually dives with barrels, and you're like, what the fuck? And so everybody's like, well, whatever. And this is my favorite scene of the movie. So after all the shit settled down, you get a bonding moment. And this is where I think that Richard Dreyfuss does the best acting here, because the way he acts drunk, and I don't know if this just is the way he would be drunk in regular life. Maybe he is just a rich boy that acts this way. This acts like everybody that I've ever drank with that is like that. Like that personality type that he is, like rich know-it-all type shit. This is how they act when they're drunk. 100%. Like they're doing... Everything's overly funny. They think they're fucking hilarious.
Everything's condescending.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it's great. And then they start bonding. They start singing. Him and Quint, and then you get the fucking story. Leaf, lead us into this one, man.
Man, so Quint tells, so they're laughing, they're comparing their wounds, right? And I this is another reason that I really love this part is because it's a guy thing, man. Yeah, 100%. It's like, look where I got cut here, look where I got chunked here, and him, and and also I want to ask Gibbs about this right before he tells the story. So him and Hooper, like Quint and Hooper, who they've hated each other like historically, right? Are comparing wounds with each other. And there's a moment where Brody like lifts up his shirt and he has a wound, but like
it's an appendix scar. And that's why he like quickly is like, you know what? I'm not even gonna fucking bring this up.
See,
you know, like
I thought
that makes
sense. I thought I went a different direction. I thought that he realized that they were finally bonding, and he didn't want to interrupt that.
Well, I think no, they were finally bonded, but he wanted to be a part of it. But then he was like, the only scar I have is this, and it's not something. It's something. But he still joined in with them. You know, they start singing "Show Me the Way to Go."
Yeah,
and
the other thing I thought,
everybody,
because I was like Leaf apparently.
It's the women.
Leaf apparently was also kind of stuck on that and probably put too much thought into it, like I did. I was like, either he doesn't want to interrupt their bonding, or he doesn't, or it was something.
It's once again
something traumatic, like maybe something happened when he was a cop in the city.
Right.
Like I shot a kid.
So there's a shifting here, and I think Brody's a very lonely character. I feel really bad for him because he's always feeling like an outsider and shit. And he finally did have this connection with Hooper, right? He had this kind of like, even though we may not get along and we may come from different, at least we're on the same side. He's the first guy that has my back. We got each other's back and everything like that. And now he's starting to see him slip away to this other guy, and he's now feeling like an outsider again. These guys are comparing scars. They're talking about fucking thresher sharks and all that shit.
Like that's,
and he's just like, okay, how do I jump back into this? He's like, no, I can't fucking show my appendix scar. Like, how do I
didn't know what I didn't know what it was.
Good eye relief though.
Like that was that was a really important scene to me, because I was just like, I don't understand why. And he is an outsider. Like everybody knows he's the city slicker. Everybody knows now it's open. He doesn't like the water, and he doesn't have any like sea stories. But Quint, he's drunk enough to sort of tell all.
And this I know, like I had the Always Sunny Charlie Day parody earlier, but this is one of the most iconic scenes ever in fucking film. Like, and it really
it's crazy good.
It cuts the fucking moment.
So originally, this speech, this whole fucking Indianapolis thing wasn't in the book. In fact,
it was written on set.
From what I understand, the details of the Indianapolis didn't come out until right before they started shooting. So like the story was kind of fresh on people's minds. So like somebody said that Peter Benchley would have had it in his book if they knew about it. So originally this wasn't in the script. They found out about it and decided to kind of throw it in there. I can't remember the guy's name, Schechter or whatever, came up with the idea, the concept, and Milius started writing it, and he wrote this 9-page fucking monologue. And Robert Shaw looked at it and was like, there's no way I can do 9-page freaking monologue. So give me a shot at it. And he ended up making the final tweaks and adding the characterisms. He made it his own thing. This is what my character would say and how I would say it and stuff.
And there's a funny story about this that I saw in this documentary. So apparently Robert Shaw started drinking the day before he was going to film this, and he went on set and was fucking hammered and fucked it up.
Well, they filmed this monologue I think 4 times, and he was drinking I think scotch the whole time.
Well, no, he started drinking before, and then he was drinking during the scene, and then he called Steven Spielberg the next morning and said, how bad did I embarrass myself? And he said, not enough to end your career. Like, like something like that. Let him know, like, okay. And they said he came to work that day, and it was like one take, like,
the ocean turns red. Despite all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in, they rip you to pieces.
So Richard Dreyfuss said about this scene that a lot of times when you're doing a scene with someone doing a monologue like that, you have to like act like you're listening to it. You have to act like you're interested. He said this was the most powerful like display of acting he had ever seen, and he was just like completely transfixed on him.
Oh yeah, again, like as far as like iconic scenes in movies, this is an all-timer. Like, period. In all of film's history, like this monologue, fucking, it stops you in the movie. This movie stops when this happens, and you're like,
I think this is one of the scenes where truth is actually stranger than fiction, right? Because he tells the story of the USS Indianapolis, which the majority of this is obviously true, you know, with some embellishments, obviously, towards the movie's main theme of sharks. But basically, Quint's character explains that he served in World War II. The ship was sunk by Japanese torpedoes on a secret mission, right, for the U.S. government. And sharks descended on the survivors of the shipwreck, the soldiers, and you know, he tells of their screams, them being devoured, and what is it, like, all in all 316 or something of that nature were the only people that survived to be rescued in the end.
Indianapolis is the boat that delivered the bomb, like the
it was coming back. And so like,
it was top secret. So it delivered the bomb that ended up decimating Hiroshima. And then like on their way back, they got hit by a couple of torpedoes.
I watched a whole fucking doc on this last night because it triggered a memory, and I was like, I remember hearing about this. Like, so I watched like this hour-long doc on Tubi. Shout out Tubi. And this
sponsor our podcast.
When they were coming back, the thing was, again, it's top secret, right? So, like, when they got sunk, nobody was looking for them.
Well, that's what he said. Like, no distress call was sent out. Like, nobody was looking for them. Nobody knew who they were, where they were. They didn't discover this fucking wreckage until just a few years ago, because they were looking 25 miles away from where it actually ended up being, because they did not know where the fuck it was.
And these sailors too, they were more afraid from the Japanese, because they were like, okay, so we got sunk by submarine. Are they going to come just fucking pick us off now?
Right.
Or like, so they were just constantly worried. And it was, you know, they had some rations, obviously not a lot of water. People got dehydrated. People lost their fucking mind and swam off, swam off, and the sharks would get them, or there'd be dead people and the sharks would get them. Like, so, I mean,
it's just an actual horror story.
Dude,
like a legitimate.
A shark just went behind the leaf. I saw it.
You learn a lot about him. There's some foreshadowing in the scene, because he says, you know, he'll never put on an orange vest again. You know, but he caps it off beautifully. I mean, he's got amazing lines in there. You know, the lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. But he caps it off with a smile, saying, "Anyway, we delivered the bomb."
Yeah, I know.
And it just it's
he did his job, right?
Yeah. And goddamn, it's just one of the most amazing scenes on film.
It's so good.
Well, to me, it also kind of shows you that it wasn't just for sport all these years that he's been like catching and killing these sharks.
Yes,
he actually fucking hates sharks,
right?
Because he was fighting for his life.
There's a reason why he is the way he is. I mean, there's a lot of comparisons to Moby Dick. He's just like the Ahab. You know, instead of losing a leg, he lost all of his goddamn friends. So in later on, like whenever he gets the life vest for
I did notice
and
that.
Brody, he didn't put the life vest on because he says he's never going to put one of those orange vests on because of
that. Right. And during, like Chris said, that was a very, like what Chris said was 100% true. The movie stops, and we forget that this ship is in a death battle between the three men on the ship and Jaws. And in that moment, from the far off, in the middle of their story, and they're singing and they're drinking, the two buoys like pop back up,
right?
And you know Jaws is back.
And it's fucking game on.
Yeah,
you know,
it starts ramming the boat.
He attacks the boat. Yes, dude, which is terrifying.
The boat.
They go out there, but this is another scene that they filmed during the day and did the nighttime. So, you know, at one point they go outside and Chief Brody's in the foreground and Hooper's in the background up on the driving area, whatever the boat. I don't know shit about boats, but you see like this shooting star in the background, you know, and then they zoom out and you see the boat, and there's another shooting star. For years, everybody was told that was a real shooting star, that like there's no special effects, it was just happenstance. But it was filmed during the fucking day. There's no way that they saw it was animated in there. Like
I never
CGI
saw it.
Experts.
I missed it.
Like, but yeah, they show two different falling stars, which is like falling stars is something that you see in fucking almost every damn Spielberg movie.
Right.
Like if you're looking for it, it's going to be there.
When Jaws attacks a ship, now you start to get like the real vendetta that Quint has against the shark too. Like you've already kind of you've got it in that story, but when the boat starts getting damaged, they're trying to do whatever they can, and Brody, like, because the boat's starting to fail, the engine's starting to fail, and when he tries to fucking radio in, and then Quint smashes the radio because he's like, no, like it's fucking me or him.
Yeah,
he's
losing his mind,
and dude, no one was reaping the benefits on this one. Like when I was watching this back, I was like, that's pretty fucking powerful that he destroys the radio because he's like, no. Like, I'm taking this motherfucker out. Like, I'm not.
He's like Lieutenant Dan out there. Like, you call this a storm?
Yeah. And Brody's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like I'm trying to call for help. Like, our boat's fucked. Like, this shark is we're sinking, whatever.
What the fuck happened to that guy's head?
Yeah, exactly, man. Dude.
Yeah. Like, he just, and Quint, like, heads towards, like, the shore. Like, he starts to head back, like, towards shore, right? But, like, he burns out the engines, like, during this entire, like...
Because he's gone mad, right? Like, he's like,
basically gone. He is, like Gibbs said, he's like Captain Ahab. Like, it's personal. He doesn't care. Like, even Hooper, who has been steering the ship this entire time...
he's like, back off,
bro,
stop.
you're gonna blow the... And, like, Quint doesn't listen. He's like, get off of me, bitch. And so, like... He blows the engine out, basically.
Verbatim.
So, yeah, so the ship is crippled. There's a killer shark who has expressed an interest in sinking you so he can eat you. Like, and that's
a salsa shark.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is, like, I don't know if Gibbs wants to say anything, but, like, it feels like this shark is, like, far more intelligent, at least in this movie, than, like, the average shark. It's, like, actively trying to kill.
I mean, sharks don't have vendettas. They're generally not, like... Who gives a shit? Once they've eaten, they're full. They're not going to hunt at all fucking times.
Right.
But yeah, like this one wants to fucking kill people, man. He just really wants at this dick.
How many fucking do they get? 4 or 6 barrels in this motherfucker? I think
3. So many, at least
3. Yeah, because 1 each time, right?
Yeah.
So they get 3 fucking barrels.
They even shoot him one time. Like, is it like Hooper's? Not Hooper.
No, Chief Brody is like just with a little pistol.
I know.
It's like blast him, dude. It's like a shark.
He's like, pew, pew. He said, break yourself, fool. Like,
and then after it goes down, he's like, yeah.
He should have held it sideways. That's the kill shot.
Well, they didn't invent that until later.
That was
we had a time machine. We know.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about the goddamn DeLorean.
Steven Spielberg has the machine.
I keep forgetting about the goddamn tiger.
But at this point in time, they're fucking dead in the water, right? The engine's blown. They've got like fucking 3 of these motherfuckers, 3 barrels in this dude. And he's still fine.
And he's fine. Yeah. And they do a check. They do a check on the ship, and the ship is sinking. Right. And this is the point where like Quint's looking into life vests, and he's like, "How many do we have to like?" Yeah. And he goes to the guys, and he's just like,
he gives them 2, and
but
he's
this is sinking. Like the first time that he kind of gives in to Hooper as well.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "All right. What's your fucking shark cage thing do? What's this fucking needle do? Can you get this in the fucking thing?" And
in
like
desperation,
it's the first time he shows any kind of humility, I guess.
Right.
And he's like, "All right, let's try your fucking newfangled."
So this goes to that story Shadow was talking about earlier, because they lowered the shark cage, and this is footage they actually got later on. There's actually footage where the shark is in the cage. But they're able to get the footage, so you
it's
actually
so intense, man.
Fucking halfway out of the water, like it's crazy.
They rewrote how the fucking movie was going based on the footage that they got from that.
Because this is when Spielberg decided to save Hooper.
Save Hooper,
right?
Exactly. So like, since the cage was empty, he was gonna have to have Hooper get the fuck out of the cage,
and so, because he wanted that footage was so fucking good, he was like, I got to get that footage in the movie. So anyway, Hooper escapes the cage, and like the hero he is, goes and fucking hides behind a rock at the bottom
underwater
of the sea.
While he's in his scuba gear. But my question is like,
he was sitting there regrouping, and he looked up, he's like, "Oh man, they got this shit. I don't."
My question is why though, Gibbs? Like, why did they save Hooper? Why not just murder him, dude? You said he died in the book, right?
So in the book, he's
dead.
Hooper, they were shocked that the shark attacked the cage, and the shark fucking devours him. And then they go back to the island, and they're like, "Shit, man, what are we gonna do now?" And it's like the thing is, like, Brody had this thing against Hooper, and because he fucked his wife, and
he did
so,
in the book.
yes,
in the book
he fucked his wife, and so so he was like not very sad, but whenever he was trying to bring the anti-shark cage on, he was with Quint, and he was like, if you bring that shit on this boat, you're not getting paid. He told Quint, you're not getting paid, but Hooper gave him like $100 and was like, come on, let's fucking go. And they put it on. And so like in the book, he was actually like, well, I feel bad that I do not feel bad that this guy just got eaten by a shark. And then he's like, you know what? I don't think I have to pay Quint. Let's go back to the fucking island.
And so again, it's like we talked about earlier, the reason in the movie that Spielberg saved Hooper, A, it was a different story, but B, he got that footage of a real shark in a cage with nobody in it.
Yeah, and so he had to explain why the shark was fucking empty.
Right?
And that footage is fucking terrifying. It's great.
Yeah.
So
I see. It is a good
bails,
scene.
He goes and he starts playing fucking, I don't know, Game Boy or some shit like that at the bottom of the ocean while Brody and Quint are duking it out with a 25
He's downstairs. He's down below the water. And he's like,
show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
He was like, guys, he's like, I know there's a second verse. What is the second fucking verse? He's just sitting there down there while they're fighting the fucking shark.
He's down there behind a rock, just dumping more semen in there.
Yeah.
It's chum. Get it right or pay the price. So, like, the ship is sinking. It's more sunk now than it has been. And, like, instead of just, like, they're still fighting it, right? Instead of just waiting for the thing to sink. And this is where, we get the infamous scene. Like, my favorite part of the movie.
Our boy fucking Quint is he slides down.
They're just like, holy shit, did you see that? That's pretty much like out. They're just standing there like, what the fuck just happened?
The boat's sinking. Jaws is fucking perched. He slides right into his mouth, and you keep thinking
the fucking shark jumps out of the goddamn
water. But he's just perched there, right? He's ready for him as he's sliding.
A gainer 360 backflip, fucking.
You keep thinking like
Tony Hawk, motherfucker.
He's gonna get saved. He's He's pushing off with his legs, like fucking ninja kick the rabbit, do something, and then no,
dude.
Then all of a sudden, Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.
Oh God! Whenever it bites down on his torso and the blood starts coming out of his mouth and shit, like that's.
He literally looked over the camera and he's like,
"Dewey, I'm cutting half pretty bad."
I'm sorry, I may be the only human being that was dying laughing at this scene, dude. I was laughing so hard because, like, even in the beginning, like when he slides down, he's like kicking the shark's face. He's kicking his legs, and when it finally bites down to him, the way he's like screaming and like thrashing around it, I was laughing so hard.
Well, maybe you should have watched it as a child.
I did not see that scene like in its full entirety.
Dude, it was an adult. So fucked up.
But I mean, like after Quint dies, you're kind of like, all right, whatever. Like, but I mean, like to me, I'm just like, God damn it! Like I'm so mad. Yeah. And then the ending is what it is. Like you get. We have this thing with the compressed air. They make an issue early on, like, hey, don't touch that; it may explode. Right. Hooper has the compressed air. It goes in Jaws. He bites on it, and then then he shoots it. Jaws fucking blows up.
And then Mythbusters had to ruin it for everybody.
Smile, you son of a bitch. But it's again, how did the fucking dinosaur get into the fucking building at the T-Rex get into the building at the end of Jurassic Park? Who gives a shit? It's fucking awesome.
Dude, don't ruin a good movie with facts.
I don't care. I saw Mythbusters and I was like, I don't fucking care.
So,
but anyway, it's amazing.
Don't you get like it's like the rule of three like from different angles, like, and it's a massive fucking
line by Brody too. Smile, you son of a bitch. Yeah, it's fucking boom, like the boom on the bitch.
You want him to die, dude.
If I was in movie theaters, I would have fucking stood up and screamed.
Gibbs, I noticed everywhere. Yeah, Gibbs, I noticed that too. Like the music and everything stops on that line. Like smile, you son of a. and then
it's
everything
like,
stops.
Boom.
Bitch, boom.
And it's just fucking gorgeous. It's raining blood, guts, and ass everywhere.
That was squid they stuffed that thing with, they said? Calamari?
No, they actually blew up the Kittner kid.
What was left of him inside of Jaws?
Put it in there.
They don't have to pay him now.
And yeah, dude, and it's such a satisfying thing when he's like, yeah, and he's like,
what's great too is this is
he tries to high five Quint, and he's like, oh yeah,
but he does because Quint's arm is still flying up, out, and so like in midair it hits, and Quint's arm is flying over.
This apparently has been a Spielberg thing that he does in movies. After this, he was flying back with Richard Dreyfuss, and he was like, "How'd the last shoot go?" And he's like, "It's happening right now." Yep. And they were like, "What?" So they were blowing the shark up when Spielberg was flying back, like he wasn't even on set.
So
he started doing that.
Yeah. So what he was worried about was once filming wrapped, he was worried about what the crew was going to do to him. Yeah, he was worried. Like he was really kind of like legitimately worried, and then it became a tradition for him to miss the final shot of every movie.
So the movie ends. Obviously, Jaws is dead. You know, you get fucking Brody. He's paddling back on his makeshift raft.
No, Hooper comes back up.
Yeah, that's right. And they do have the whole celebration, which is nice. So like,
he's
still alive.
And whenever like Hooper asks like Quint and Brody's like, no. You know, like that shit like fucking hit hard for some goddamn reason.
It still hits hard. It still hits hard, man.
Yeah, and of course they don't know what day it is.
Like,
they're arguing about what fucking
Quint.
day
He's like, you're swimming in him.
Yeah,
gross. But
Brody this time gets Hooper back. He's like, check this out.
He's like, oh man, no. So
he's like, that's Quint's ass.
I was able to save his asshole. He always was one of these, and I figured this is the last part of him. So, guys,
he's got a black ass.
So that's the way it fucking ends. Again, one of the greatest movies of all time, right? Like 100%. Like it was great for me to just go back and do a deep dive on this.
If somebody said this is the greatest movie ever made, I have a hard time arguing it.
Yeah, 100%. It's just even going, and again, it's 50 years old, man. We're watching this 50 years later, and we're still saying it.
If you haven't seen it in its entirety, or you like me, or Shadwick, who just saw clips and pinches of it like your entire life, go watch the whole thing uncensored,
and then watch it again.
And then
you guys check out the second movie too. The sequel is like it's derivative. It's like the same plot, basically beat by beat, but there's some really great kills in it.
Did Spielberg do that one?
No, but he actually kind of shadow directed it. He would show up on set and give advice and give his 2 cents. It's gotten a bad rap over the fucking years or whatever. But I honestly think that it's.
I'm gonna go rewatch it. I hadn't watched that one in a long time.
Yeah,
so.
Jaws 3 is worth skipping. Jaws 4 is fun to watch just because it's so fucking wacky and stupid. Jaws 4 has Mario Van Peebles as a co-star in that.
Really?
Yeah, no, he plays a Jamaican guy. Michael, what are you doing down there?
So he lives right near the beach.
Mario Van Peebles later directed a movie about the USS Indianapolis starring Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
So,
look at that. Connecting all the fucking dots, man.
Not this summer, but next summer, Jaws 7, Jaws in Space comes out.
Now, there was a movie called Cruel Jaws that came out that overseas they marketed it as Jaws 5, even though it wasn't an official sequel.
Mm-hmm.
That one's not worth checking out unless you love terrible movies.
Well, and another one to check out is Jabberjaw, a good cartoon that is just a ripoff of the Three Stooges.
Hooper makes it. Richard Dreyfuss actually makes a cameo appearance in the Piranha remake as Hooper.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, man. So let's wrap this one up. So, guys, from Jaws, what is your favorite line? I'll go ahead and start. As if not to step on Shadwick's toes at all and leave him the one that he wants to be left. I want to say my favorite line is,
Want to get drunk and fool around?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to land on that one, man. Leaf, what do you got?
Bro, my favorite scene quote from the film is when Quint is dying and he's like screaming. That's my favorite scene.
Gibbs, what do you got, man? If you had to have one.
It would be cheating to use anything from the speech from the Indianapolis, so I'm not going to do that. However, I do love every line that Quint says, especially...
Stop playing with yourself, Hooper. Slow ahead, if you please.
Nice. Chadwick, bring us home your favorite fucking line.
I'm gonna have to go back to the dinner where where Brody's wife is describing his fear of water. She's like,
I guess it's a childhood thing. It's there's a clinical name for it, isn't there?
Drowning.
Great line.
Awesome, man. And with that, guys, we're going to take it over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
Well, the nerve gas sarin, which was used in the Tokyo subway attack, is a colorless, odorless substance that swiftly paralyzes the respiratory system, fills the lungs with fluid, and drowns its victims. But it's still better than anything on the Warner Brothers network.
And watch the WB. Yeah.
She said